සන්ධ්‍යාවක් වේවා ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම. කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ නීති පීඨයේ විසින් එහි උපාධි අපේක්ෂකයන් වන අපහට විශිෂ්ට අධ්‍යාපනයක් ලබා දීමට නිරන්තරයෙන් කැප වෙන බව නොරහසක්. ඉතින් ඒ අධ්‍යාපන මට්ටම තවත් අර්ථාන්විත කරන්න වගේම නීති පීඨයෙන් බැහැර වී වැඩිදුර උසස් අධ්‍යාපනයට යොමු වන අපේම ශිෂ්‍ය ප්‍රජාවට අත්වලක් වීමට තුලාව අපි තීරණය කළා. එම සාමූහික තීරණයේ ප්‍රතිඵලයේ විදිහට නීති පීඨ ඉතිහාසයේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට උපාධි අපේක්ෂකයන් වෙනුවෙන්ම වෙන්වුණු ත්‍රෛභාෂික පර්යේෂණ පරිසංවාදයක් පවත්වන්න මේ වන විට පසුබිම නිර්මාණය වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා තවදුරටත් ඔබට අත්වලක් වීමට පර්යේෂණ පරිසංවාදයක් යන කුමක්ද යන කාරණයේ සිට පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් නිර්මාණය කර ගැනීම දක්වා වූ ඉතාමත් පුළුල් පරාසයක තොරතුරු සංවාදයක් ඇති කර ගැනීමට නීති පීඨයේ අපේ ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ මහත්මීන් කිහිප දෙනෙකුගේ මාර්ගෝපදේශයන් සහ අත්දැකීම් ඔබ සමග බෙදා ගැනීමට තුලාව අපි තීරණය කළා. ඉතින් 2021-2022 වසර සඳහා වන තුලාව සංස්කාරක මණ්ඩලය විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කරන තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂණ පර්යේෂණ සහ පරිසංවාදයේ හා සැබැඳි මෙම වැඩමුළුවට සහභාගී වූ ඔබ සැම ඉතාමත් ආදරයෙන් යුතුව පිළිගනු ලබනවා.
Good evening, everyone. Let me commence with a note on our faculty, the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo. As a prestigious faculty, it is an evident reality that it commits itself towards the provision of quality education for its students. We, as the Thulawa Foundation, decided to add adornments of value to such enhanced education and all other edifications in the future. Thus, as a blessing of that collective decision, the foundation is fortunate to make history by the organization of a trilingual conference for undergraduate research. In order to give a further hand for this research forum, we thought of sharing several insights that would be beneficial for the conference by convening this workshop on legal research and academic writing. Starting from the definition of a research conference up until the preparation of a research paper, our honored and compassionate lecturers of the faculty are here today to guide us intellectually throughout this workshop. Thus, as the Thulawa Editorial Board of 2021-22, we cordially welcome you all with immense pleasure and honor to grace this workshop affiliated with the Thulawa Undergraduate Research Conference. Have a fruitful session.
எங்கள் துலாவா அமைப்போடு இந்த பொன்மாலை பொழுதில் இணைந்திருக்கும் அனைத்து உள்ளங்களுக்கும் இந்நேர வந்தனங்கள். முதலில் எனது பீடத்தை பற்றிய சிறு குறிப்புடன் ஆரம்பிக்கிறேன். கொழும்பு பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் சட்ட பீடமானது மிகவும் பெருமை மிகுந்த பீடமாக காணப்படுகிறது. பெருமை மிகுந்த பீடம் சட்ட பீடம் என்ற வகையில் மாணவர்களுக்கு தரமான கல்வியை வழங்குவதில் தன்னை ஈடுபடுத்திக் கொண்டுள்ளது என்பது நிதர்சனமான உண்மை. துலாவ பதிப்பாசிரியர் குழுவான நாங்கள் அத்தகைய மேம்பட்ட கல்விக்கும் எதிர்காலத்தில் ஏனைய அனைத்து திருத்தங்களுக்கும் பெருமைகளை சேர்க்க முடிவு செய்திருக்கிறோம். எனவே அந்த கூட்டு முடிவின் பயனாக இளங்கலை ஆய்வு கலந்துரையாடலை மும்மொழியில் ஏற்பாடு செய்து வரலாறு படைக்க அடித்தளமிடவுள்ளோம். இந்த துலாவ இளங்கலை கலந்துரையாடலுக்கு கை கொடுக்கும் வகையில் சட்ட கல்வி ஆராய்ச்சி பற்றிய வரைவினை இந்த பயிலரங்கினை கூட்டுவதன் மூலம் பயனுள்ளதாக இருக்கும். அத்துடன் இளங்கலை ஆய்வு பற்றிய கலந்துரையாடலில் பல நுட்பங்களை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள நினைத்திருக்கிறோம். அத்துடன் இக்கலந்துரையாடலில் ஒரு ஆய்வு கட்டுரையை எவ்வாறு எழுத வேண்டும் என்பதை தெளிவுபடுத்துவதற்காக எங்கள் பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் மதிப்புக்கும் கௌரவத்திற்கும் உரிய கண்ணியமான அன்புக்கும் விரிவுரையாளர்கள் எங்களோடு இன்று இணைந்திருக்கிறார்கள். அத்தோடு இப்பயிலரங்கு முழுவதும் வழிகாட்டு வருகை தந்திருக்கிறார்கள். எனவே 2021-20 ஆண்டுக்கான துலாவ பதிப்பாசிரியர் குழுவில் இளங்கலை ஆய்வு கலந்துரையாடலில் இணைந்து கொண்டிருக்கும் உங்கள் அனைவரையும் மகிழ்ச்சியுடனும் மரியாதையுடனும் வரவேற்கிறோம். இந்த அமர்வு நிச்சயமாக பயனுள்ளதாக இருக்கும் என நம்புகிறோம்.
මෙම වැඩමුළුවේ පළමු අංගයේ වෙත අපි යොමු වෙමු. පරීක්ෂණ පරිසංවාදයක් කියන්නේ කුමක්ද? පරීක්ෂණ පරිසංවාදයක් සංවිධානය කිරීමේ කාර්යපටිපාටිය කුමක්ද? ඒ සමගින් පරීක්ෂණ පරිසංවාදික මූලික පදනම අප වෙත පැහැදිලි කර දෙමින් වැඩමුළුවේ ආරම්භය සනිටුහන් කිරීම සඳහා මෙම අවස්ථාවේදී කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ නීති පීඨයේ වත්මන් පීඨාධිපති ආචාර්ය සම්පත් පුංචිහේවා මැතිතුමාට ඉතාමත් ගෞරවනීයව ආරාධනා කරනු ලබනවා.
Right. සියලු දෙනාගේම අවසරයි. තුලාව සමුළුව පැවැත්වීමේ මූලික පියවරක් විදියට මේ අද දවසේ ඔයාලට රිසර්ච් පේපර් එකක් ලියන ආකාරය පිළිබඳව යම් අදහසක් සහ පුහුණුවක් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා තමයි මම හිතන්නේ අපේ විද්වතුන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔයාලා මට ඔයාලගේ සංවිධායකතුමන්ලා තුමියන්ලා දැන්නුව විදියට අපේ මේනක සර්, වසන්ත මැඩම් සහ සර්වේශ්වරන් සර් කියන ප්‍රවීණ විද්වතුන් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ සාකච්ඡාවට සහභාගී වෙනවා. So I think this is something very important in the history of the law faculty. I think if I look at the records, this is the first time that the law faculty law students have undertaken this very challenging but very rewarding task. I think it is very important that this kind of student-led conference is initiated. නීති පීඨය කියන්නේ ඔයාලා දන්නවා ලංකාවේ තියෙන අපි කියන්නේ ප්‍රීමියර් ලෝ ස්කූල් එක. නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා මූලිකම නීති අධ්‍යාපන ආයතනය. අවුරුදු 73කටත් වැඩි කාලයක් ඉතිහාසයක් තියෙන අපේ නීති පීඨය මේ ඔයාලා දන්නවා ලංකාවේ ඉන්න විද්වතුන් විශාරදයින් මේ ලෝකයට බිහි කරපු ඒ සාඩම්බර නීති පීඨයේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට මම දන්න ඉතිහාසයේ තුල මේ ළමයින් විසින් නැත්නම් ශිෂ්‍ය ශිෂ්‍යාවන් සිසු දරුදරියන් විසින් පවත්වනු ලබන සමුළුව තමයි පෙබරවාරි මාසේ කරන්න තමයි ඔයාලා අදහස් කරන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි ඒක ඊටාම හොඳින් අවධාරණය කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි සහ ඒ සඳහා දෙන්න පුළුවන් උපරිම සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්නත් මම උත්සාහ කරනවා නීති පීඨයේ පරිපාලනයේ විදියට. එහෙනම් as the first matter we need to see what is a research conference and how to organize a research conference in a legal institution, in a law teaching institution like ours. In the first place, we have to be aware of a research conference. What is a research conference? As you know, what is a research? Research. Search again and again. Search again. Searching, finding, generating new knowledge. So in a research conference, first thing that you have to do is to generate new knowledge on cutting edge issues. As you know, there will be also some participants outside the faculty, and they who also will be contributing to the advancement of knowledge in this particular research. So if you take the idea of research, in research means search again, repeatedly searching. So in a research conference, you generate new knowledge, and as a byproduct, you will also generate recommendations for law reform. In a research conference, you need to bring in innovative thinking, critical thinking, new knowledge, and new research findings. How to do this? You need to, in so doing, you have to have different tracks, different areas of research being submitted to this conference. I think in the first place, the planning team of this research should develop your tracks, different tracks so that the research papers emanating from different areas can be clearly channeled through these different tracks. I think that is the main idea that you have to keep in mind. And also in a research conference, in organizing a research conference, you have to, I think this, I'm not talking about the basic structure, but you have to have your advisory committee, and also the conference organizing team. If you have invited somebody like Hakim sir, he would say what are the committees that you need to have in organizing a research conference. Okay, so you can also post this question to Madam Wasantha Seneviratne, because Madam has more experience on conference organization, right? So in the first place, what you got to know is research conference is a place where it is called it's academic harvest. Is the ceremony of academic harvest. You gather the innovative research findings, and it will be presented to an audience who will comment, who will critique, who will deliberate on that, who will discuss the research finding, so that the research papers, the conference publication will be enriched through the insights given by the participant and commentators and also reviewers. So having said that, how to organize it, please consult the faculty, the experienced faculty members like Hakim sir, Madam Wasantha Seneviratne, and also even Menaka sir, and also perhaps you can speak to Professor Nasima Kamaruddin, my colleagues. She has been the conference chair in the university research conference a couple of years back. Therefore, I think you got to consult them also in organizing the event. So I'm not going to touch on the how to organize a conference. You need to have different committees. You need to have different level of the review process, and then there can be a publication committee. There can be the logistic committee, then a publicity committee. There are different committees. You can ascertain that information from the experienced lecturers in the on my staff. So I get back to writing a good research paper. In particular, I like to enlighten you. මම ඔයාලව පොඩ්ඩක් දැනුවත් කරන්න කැමතියි. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් international standard research paper එකක් කොහොමද ලියන්නේ කියන කාරණාව. එතනදී මූලික වශයෙන් අපිට මතක තියාගන්න වෙනවා දරුවනේ, and also the participant, research paper එකක් develop කරනකොට මුලින්ම you got to know the area, particular topic, particular area in which the academic attention has not been adequate, or there is no new knowledge in the Sri Lankan context, or there are gaps in the understanding on that particular topic. Take for an example, දැන් අපි බැලුවොත් ලංකාවේ අදටත් data protection law එකක් නැහැ. දැන් හිතලා බලන්න. දැන් ඔයාලා IP law කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් අපේ රටේ තාම geographical indication registration system එකක් නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒව අලුත් areas. ඒ වගේම artificial intelligence කවුරුවත් research කරලා නැහැ අපි දන්න තරමට ගොඩක් අය. ඉතින් එතකොට there are many innovative new topics that you need to find a new topic, and then you need to think about the literature available on this topic. It can be international literature, it can be the regional scholarship or even the Sri Lankan scholarship. You need to find, you got to find the main sources on your topic. For example, now if I write about artificial intelligence, there are a couple of articles in the international websites, in the World Intellectual Property Organization. I know they have published, it has published the artificial intelligence and intellectual property rights. Likewise, you need to peruse the literature available on the topic, and then be thorough. You need to be thorough about the literature available on the topic. Then I think the organizers should first examine, ask the candidates, ask the researchers to write the abstracts. එතකොට abstract එකක් කියන්නේ සංක්ෂිප්ත හරය. ඔබගේ පර්යේෂණයේ සංක්ෂිප්තය තමයි අපි abstract එකක් විදිහට ගේන්නේ. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් වචන 200ක් maximum 300 words අරගෙන එකෙන් අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන මෙන්න මේ කරුණු ටික ඔය abstract එකේ තියෙන්න ඕන. මම දැන් මම වලට මගේ research paper එකක් පෙන්නන්නම්. abstract එකක තියෙන්න ඕන මුලින්ම topic එක, ඊට පස්සේ කතෘවරයාගේ නම, අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් surname එකෙන් තමයි හඳුන්වන්නේ. එතකොට ඊළඟට ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන purpose එක. research paper එකේ purpose එක. අපි කියනවා the aim of this research paper is to analyze. මෙම පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවේ අරමුණ වන්නේ පළවෙනියටම ඒක පළවෙනි වාක්‍ය දෙකෙන් කියවෙන්න ඕන. දෙවනි ඊළඟට මේ abstract එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ වචන 250ක විතර 200ත් 300ත් අතර තියෙන සංක්ෂිප්තයක් ඔබගේ පර්යේෂණේ. ඒතර ඒකේ මේ abstract එකක DNA එක, abstract එකක මෙන්න මේ දේවල් තියෙන්න ඕන. purpose එක තියෙන්න ඕන. research methodology එක තියෙන්න ඕන. findings තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම research එකේ limitations තියෙන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකේ originality එක සහ keywords ටික තියෙන්න ඕන. මම එහෙනම් පොඩ්ඩක් abstract එකක් මගේ research paper එකකින් පෙන්නන්නම් දැන්. Right, it's there. So this is a research paper that I published this year, published in the South Asian Journal of Tourism and Hospitality. See, in the abstract, you have all these things that I mentioned. The purpose. Then you have the methodology. What is the methodology? Then you have the objectives, purpose, the findings of the research paper, findings of the research. Then what are the limitations? And then what is the originality? Originality in terms of originality, to the best of author's knowledge. This is the press research article that explores the use of branding and trademark system in the tourism sector in Sri Lanka. So then you should have keywords: intellectual property, branding, trademark, tourism. Maximum 4 keywords. I will show you another one, another research paper that was published. Yeah. In this research paper, you can see what are those elements that I mentioned to you. You have the abstract. In abstract, you have the purpose, approach, findings, research limitations and implications, originality, and keywords. Dear student, when you prepare an abstract, you must include these elements into one paragraph. It should have the purpose of this research paper, and it should also have the methodology. this research follows, or this research uses qualitative research approach or critical review of literature approach or systematic review of literature approach. And then you have to include a couple of sentences about the findings. This research finds that in Sri Lanka, there is no adequate law to deal with data protection. And then what are the limitations? I'm a research paper limitation. This research is limited to limited in jurisdictions, namely the research has dealt with Sri Lankan and the UK or Australian law. And the originality. This may be one of the first research papers on this particular area. And once you set these things, then the research paper has all the elements. The abstract has all the elements and keywords. Keywords are very important to trace. It's the signal. It is the flag of traceability. Anybody can understand what you talk about in this paper by looking at these keywords. Maximum 4, not more than 4. දරුවනේ research paper එකක මේ අපි මුලින්ම වැදගත් දැන් සංවිධායක මණ්ඩලය මේ conference එකේදී ඔයාලට කියනවා abstract එකක් present කරන්න කියලා. abstract එකක් ඉල්ලනවා. එතකොට abstract එකක් ලියාගන්නේ කොහොමද? research paper එකකදී. එතකොට research paper එකක පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක මුල අදියර තමයි abstract එකක් සකස් කරන එක. abstract එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ සමන්ගේ research එකේ සම්පින්ඩනයක්. ඊටාම සංක්ෂිප්ත මුළු research එකේම පැතිකඩක්. එතකොට ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන purpose එක. මේ research එකේ මේ පර්යේෂණයේ මේ ලිපියේ අරමුණ. දෙක ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන මේ පර්යේෂණය කරන්න අපි භාවිතා කරේ මොන වගේ methodology එකක්ද? ක්‍රමවේදයක්ද? දරුවනේ methods කියලා කියන්නේ මගේ research එක කරන්න භාවිත කරන tools මොනවද tools? අපිට පුළුවන් library එකට ගිහිල්ලා this can be done by doing a library based research. එක tool එකක්. තව tool එකක් තමයි comparative legal research. අපේ රටේ විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපි වෙන රටවල සමාන නීතින් බලනවා. ඒතර ඒ වගේ මොකද්ද මගේ methodology එක? මගේ methodology එක තමයි library based critical review of literature. එහෙම නැත්නම් මගේ methodology එක තමයි qualitative research methodology. ඒතර qualitative research methodology කියලා කියන්නේ අපි නීතිය තියෙන black letter law එක අරගෙන ඒක analyze කරන එක. එතකොට අපි ඒකට කියන black letter legal research එක. ඊළඟට findings. මොනවද මගේ findings? In this research, the researcher or the main findings of this research are කියලා අපි කියනවා මේ research එකේ මගේ findings තමයි ලංකාවේ මේ වෙනකන් ලංකාවේ data protection සම්බන්ධයෙන් නැත්නම් දත්ත ආරක්ෂා කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් නීතිමය ආරක්ෂාවක් ලබා දෙන පැහැදිලි නීතියක් දක්නට ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ වෙනකන් ලංකාවේ පැහැදිලිව දත්ත ආරක්ෂා data ආරක්ෂා කරන්න නීතියක් නැහැ. එතකොට ඒ නිසා ලංකාවේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති සම්පාදකයන් නීති සම්පාදකයන් ඒ බඳු නීතියක් සකස් කළ යුතුයි. ඒ සඳහා අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් යුරෝපාකරයේ තියෙන data protection law එක අපිට අදාළ කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඒ විදිහට අපේ findings මොනවද? ඊළඟට ඒ වගේම originality එක. කතෘවරයාගේ අදහසට අනුව මේක ලංකාවේ මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පළ වෙලා කරලා තියෙන පර්යේෂණ අතරින් මූලික පර්යේෂණයක් වෙනවා කියලා කෙනෙකුට තර්ක කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඒක ලස්සනට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න keywords කීපයක්. ඒතර අපි ගත්තොත් අපි කියමු topic එක තමයි introducing a new data protection law for Sri Lanka. Lessons from නැත්නම් insights from European data protection regulation. ලංකාවට නව දත්ත ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ නීතියක් හඳුන්වා දීම සඳහා යුරෝපා රෙගියුලේෂන් යුරෝපීය රෙගුලාසි වලින් ලද හැකි පාඩම්. එතන keywords වල ඉන්න ඕන data protection. ඊට පස්සේ Sri Lankan law, general data protection regulation, and ඔයාලට කියන්න පුළුවන් insights from international experience. විදේශ අධිකරණ ශාස්ත්‍රයන්ගෙන් ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් අත්දැකීම් මොනවද? ඔන්න ඔය විදියට ලස්සනට approach එක මේ abstract එකක් හදාගත්තම ඒ abstract එක ඊට පස්සේ පරීක්ෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් විදියට දියුණු කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට දරුවනේ you got to write your full paper. In a full paper you should have your introduction. Then you should have your research problem. What is the problem that you investigated? Then you should have your literature review. What are the works, what are the articles, research papers available on this topic? Then you should have your discussion and findings. Then you should have limitations, conclusion, and references. So this should be the main understanding that you need to bring in a research conference and research paper. So I think if you do like that, it will be a good piece of research that everybody can be benefited by that, by reading that. When I read your research paper, it should add value to my knowledge. It is, you are generating new knowledge. දරුවනේ පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් කියලා කියන්නේ conference එකකට ඉදිරිපත් කරන පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක අපිට තියෙන්න ඕන අලුත් දැනුමක් එකතු වෙන්න ඕන. එතකොට මේ research paper එක review කරන කෙනා කවුරු වේවා, මම වේවා, එහෙම නැත්නම් මේනක සර් වේවා, එහෙම නැත්නම් ධනශිකා මැඩම් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි බලනවා මේකේ තියෙන novel contribution එක, මේකේ තියෙන originality එක මොකද්ද? research පත්‍රිකාව පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔයාලා කෙනෙක් කරපු දෙයක් නැවත reproduce කරනවා නම්, කෙනෙක් කරපු දෙයක් copy කරනවා නම් ඒකේ originality එකක්, නවතාවයක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න, තමන් කරන ඉදිරිපත් කරන research paper එක තමන්ගේ අවුරුදු 4ක undergraduate කාලෙදි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් තමන් නීතිඥයෙක් විදියට කටයුතු කරන අවස්ථාවේදී තමන් ලැබිච්ච අත්දැකීමක්, තමන් උත්තරය දන්නේ නැති ප්‍රශ්නයකට පොඩි රිසර්ච් එකක් කරනවා. ඒක තමන්ගේ චේම්බර් එකේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ලයිබ්‍රරියට ගිහිල්ලා කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඉන්ටර්නෙට් සර්ච් එකක් කරලත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම එක දෙයක් තව කියලා දෙනවා. ඒ තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් ලියන කෙනෙක් දැනගන්න ඕන නීතිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙන sources මොනවද කියලා. අපි කියනවා legal sources. අපි අද දවසේ Harvard සහ Oxford ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එකට අනුව ලෝකේ තියෙන ප්‍රවීණතම නැත්නම් වැඩිපුරම භාවිත කරන the most used, most accepted referencing styles are the Harvard style and Oscola referencing style. According to the Harvard referencing guide, you can use 3 types of legal sources. One is the primary legal sources. What are the primary legal sources? The sources of authoritative statement of law. Sources in which you will find authoritative sources of law. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් දැන් අපි පළමුවෙන් බලන්න ඕන අපි කරන ටොපික් එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් ලංකාවේ තියෙන නීතිමය ප්‍රතිපාදන මොනවද? එහෙනම් you got to find the law, the statutes, statutory provisions, case law jurisprudence, etc., etc. They are referred to as primary legal sources. And then you also have secondary legal sources. What are the secondary legal sources? Secondary legal sources are, according to the Oscola referencing guide, the sources in which the primary sources are interpreted, defined, critique, analyze, explain. ඒකට research paper එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, research article එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, book chapter එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, online article එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, encyclopedia එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, dictionary එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ ඔක්කොම දේවල් research paper එකක තියෙන දේවල් විදියට research ඔයාලට මේ හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් research ඔයාලට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් නීතිය විවරණය කරලා තියෙන, නීතිය විශ්ලේෂණය කරලා තියෙන, නීතිය විග්‍රහ කරලා තියෙන, නීතිය පැහැදිලි කරලා තියෙන මූලාශ්‍රයක් තමයි අපි secondary legal sources කියලා කියන්නේ. Primary legal sources කියලා කියන්නේ නීතිය සඳහන් වන මූලික statement, ප්‍රකාශයන්, පාර්ලිමේන්තු පනතක්, අධිකරණ තීරණයක් වගේ, ඒ වගේම bylaw එකක්, ඒ ඔක්කොම primary legal sources. Secondary legal sources. ඒ වගේම දරුදැරියනේ tertiary legal sources කියලා අලුත් category එකක් COVID-19 නිසා ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා අද දවසේ. ඒකට අපි කියනවා tertiary legal තෘතීය නීති මූලාශ්‍ර. මොනවද ඒවා? අපට දැනුම ලබන්න තියෙන මූලාශ්‍ර මොනවද ඒවා? ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි බැලුවම විශේෂයෙන්ම databases, online sources, online databases and online sources. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට LexisNexis. එහෙම නැත්නම් Hen online. එහෙමත් නැත්නම් Beck online. එහෙමත් නැත්නම් SSRN. ඔය ඔක්කොම online sources, online databases. ඒවට කියන්නේ tertiary sources. මේ දරුදැරියෝ මම හිතනවා පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකා ලියනකොට විශේෂයෙන්ම කරාවි research conference paper එක ලියනකොට සමුළුවට research paper එකක් ලියනකොට ඔයාලා බලයි ගොඩක් ඔය online sources. මොකද අපිට අද දවසේ මේ රටේ තියෙන අපි රටේ ලෝකේ තියෙන මේ covid restrictions නිසා ඔයාලා ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට බලාවි මේ online sources. එහෙනම් දරුවනේ මතක තියාගන්න පර්යේෂණයක් කරනකොට පර්යේෂකයා නීති පර්යේෂකයා legal research එකක් කරන කෙනා මේ දේවල් දැනගත යුතුයි. පළවෙනි අපිට නීතිය දැනගන්න primary legal sources බලන්න ඕන. නීතිය ගැන විවරණයක් කරන්න secondary legal sources ඕන. අපි අඩු ගානේ black law dictionary එක හරි හොයාගන්න වෙනවා. තුන්වෙනිව නීතිය පරීක්ෂකයා online resources මේ COVID-19 නිසා අද දවසේ අනිවාර්ය වෙලා තියෙනවා. මෙන්න මේ දේවල් බලලා තමයි පර්යේෂණය කරන්න ඕන. පර්යේෂණය research paper එකක පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක මූලික කාරණාව තමයි අලුත් දැනුම ඒ තුලින් ජනනය වෙන්න ඕන. ඒ නිසා සංවිධායක මණ්ඩලය review panel එක මේ අපි කියන්නේ abstract review කරන කට්ටිය research papers review කරන අපේ මණ්ඩලය හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ඕන මේ පර්යේෂණය කරපු පර්යේෂකයන් පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකා ඉදිරිපත් කරන අය original contribution එකක් අපි ඒකට කොහොමද කියන්නේ නව්‍ය දායකත්වයක් ඒ ශාස්ත්‍රයේ දැනුම දියුණු කරන්න original contribution to the advancement of knowledge in the selected area, selected topic. Under the selected topic must be produced. එතකොට අපිට එන්න ඕන නව දැනුම අපේ දැනුමේ නිම්බලලු පුළුල් වෙන්න ඕන ඒ පේපර් එක බැලුවම. ඒ සඳහා අපිට අලුත් දැනුමක් අලුත් විදිහට කල්පනා කරලා අලුත් අදහසක් ඒ තුලින් ගේන්න ඕන. දැන් මම උදාහරණයට ගත්තේ අපි හිතමු ලංකාවේ අද දවසේ අපි හිතමු මුහුදේ පරිසරය දූෂණය කරාම වන්දි ගෙවන්න ක්‍රමයක් අපිට තියෙනවද? මම දන්නෙත් නෑ. මටත් ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා. අර එක්ස්ප්‍රස් පර්ල් නෞකාව මුහුදුපත් වීමෙන් ලංකාවේ පරිසරයට අප්‍රමාණ හානියක් වුණා. ඒතකොට ලෝකෙ තියෙනවා polluter pays principle. ඉතින් ඒ principle එක ඒ මූලධර්මය කොයිතරම් දුරට අපේ සාගරය ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ නීතියට අනුගත වෙනවද? Case study of Express Pearl disaster. ඉතින් ලස්සන research පත්‍රිකා පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක කරාම ඒක ලංකාවේ විද්වතුන් පවා ලංකාවේ policy makersලා පවා ලංකාවේ ඒ සඳහා නීතිය ක්‍රියා හදන කට්ටියත් උත්සාහ කරાવી මේ ඔයාලගේ රිසර්ච් පේපර් එක බලලා ඒ නව දැනුම තුලින් ආලෝකයක් ලබන්න. The policy makers will be enlightened by your contribution. හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න අර abstract එක තුලට තමන්ගේ research finding එකෙන් සම්පින්ඩනයක් ගේන්න ඕන. ඒතර purpose එක මොකක්ද මේ පත්‍රිකාවේ ওই වචන 200 හෝ 300 තුලට purpose එක research paper එකේ methodology එක මොකක්ද? methodology එක හරි වැදගත්. ඊළඟට ඒකේ findings මොනවද? ඒකේ බලපෑම සහ සීමා මොනවද? සහ ඒකේ originality එක මොන වගේද? සහ keywords ටික තමයි මේ research paper එකක abstract එක තුල gap වෙන්න ඕන. The abstract should enshrine the following aspects: the purpose, the methodology, the findings, research implications and limitations, and the originality along with the keywords. ඉතින් ඒ විදියට තමයි අපේ දරුදරියන්ට පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් ලියන්න සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ වගේම ওই පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක මතක තියාගන්න ඕන තියෙන්න ඕන දැන් long research paper එක වල ලියනෝනේ. full paper එක ලියනකොට මට මේ දරුවෝ කියන්න මේ are you expecting the research presenters to come up with their full papers, or full papers will be submitted after the conference? What is the process?
Sir, full papers will be submitted after the conference, sir.
Very good. So we are targeting the research abstract. Ehemada?
Yes,
The
sir.
extended abstract.
Abstract, sir.
Sure. Very good. එතකොට අර abstract එකේ review කරනකොට අර මම කියපු international emerald standard මම අර emerald journal එකකින් ඔයාලට ඒ ටික ගත්තේ ඒ emerald standard ටික බලන්න වෙනවා නේද? Right?
Yes, sir.
Right. එතකොට authors guidelines කියලාත් ඔයාලට හදන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ දේවල් අපේ සර්වේෂණන් සර් වසන්ත මැඩම් මේනක සර්ලට පෙන්නලා ඒවා මොඩරේට් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. දර්ශන සර්ට පෙන්නුවත් දර්ශන සර්ලා උදව් කරයි. තව මොනවද මගෙන් දැනගන්න ඕන? What else do you want me to comment on?
So there's a question on the chat box.
Yes.
I will read it to you.
Yeah.
Sir, could you please explain more on research methodology?
Yeah.
Because the international level research papers, more concerned on that. I searched on Google about it for several months, but I couldn't find it in understanding manner. It will be helpful if you could explain.
මං කියලා දෙන්න. හරි. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් in a legal research, our students, our researchers should follow qualitative research paradigm, qualitative research approach. Qualitative means based on words or provisions. There are two approaches, qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative means numbers, data. So quantitative research can be done by management, economics, and other streams. But qualitative, lawyers are not good at statistics. So lawyers, legal research are more often than not concentrated on qualitative. In qualitative research, you find three keywords, that is what, why, and how questions. What, why, and how questions. You will answer what, why, and how questions and not how many. So qualitative research, for example, this research follows qualitative research approach. In so doing, the researcher use primary, secondary, and tertiary legal sources. So the research is conducted as a desk research or library-based critical review of literature. And primary legal sources include the statutes, international instruments, case law jurisprudence, and statutory instruments. Secondary legal sources include journal articles, book chapters, research papers, etc., etc. Tertiary legal sources, examination of tertiary legal research, tertiary legal resources include the analysis of the critical analysis of the materials available on databases and websites. In addition to that, my research, what are the tools? You will use not only primary, secondary, tertiary legal sources, but also you will use international experience. So the legal provisions in other jurisdictions. That methodology is called comparative legal research and analysis. Comparative legal research and analysis. So methodology means there are two things. First, what are the tools, methods that you use in your research? My main method is to look at primary, secondary, and tertiary legal sources. Why I use these tools? Because I follow qualitative research approach. In that, I have used two philosophies. One is black letter approach and comparative legal research approach. These are the two approaches in methodology. Methods means what are the tools? What are the tools used by the researcher? Methods means what are the techniques for gathering evidence for the purpose of your purposes of your research. Methods are the techniques for gathering evidence, right? It is in simple terms. What are the procedures, tools, and techniques used by the researcher? Methods. So your methods, you will be looking at the legal research sources in the library by using primary, secondary, and tertiary legal sources. And methodology means is the theory or analysis of how research should be proceeded. That is the philosophy. What is the justification for using these tools? Because I am a lawyer, and lawyers use black letter or doctrinal legal research. Doctrinal legal research means the researcher analyzes the existing legal provisions, case law, jurisprudence, etc., etc. And lawyers also use comparative legal research analysis. That is also part of the methodology in qualitative research approach. So that is that. Any other questions?
No, sir, we don't have any at the moment. And you provided a very comprehensive insight. Thank you very much, sir, for providing valuable insights on what a research conference is and how to write a research paper. We received an explicit introduction and we confer immense gratitude. Right.
I congratulate you in this endeavor, and I will support you, and please organize, well organize and have all the committees on the advice of your beloved teachers in the faculty. And then your way is very much is enlightened, I would say enlightened through the wisdom of the experienced teachers who have organized many researchers throughout their academic life. So thank you so much. So I will hand over it to you now. So I just wanted to give you a bit of thoughts on this, and I'm always I remain at your disposal for your information and support. Me darudariyanta subapatanawa meka aithihasika. It is called it's a historical event. Red letter day in our law faculty history, in which case the student-led first time I think student-led conference will be held. So I will give my blessing. Darudariyan visin සංවිධානය කරන සමුළුවක් නීති සමුළුවක් පවත්වීම ගැන මම මගේ හෘදයාංගම සතුට සහ ස්තුතිය ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. අපි මේ Yeah, thank ළමයි අහලා තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. Yes. Workshop is not yet. Yeah. මේ workshop එක ඉවර නෑ. දැන් වසන්ත මැඩම්, සර්වේශ්වරන් සර්, මේනක සර් ඔයාලව තවදුරටත් දැනුවත් කරමින් දේශනය මේ වැඩමුළුව පවත්වාගෙන යයි. Thank you very much. All
Thank
very
you
best.
very much, sir, for your encouraging words. We are truly inspired. Moving on, I would hereby invite Mr. Menaka Harankaha, the head of the Department of Commercial Law of the faculty, to address the gathering. Sir, my question to you would be on what legal research is and on how a person could conduct research.
Okay, thank you. And also Dr. Punchihewa, our Dean of the Faculty of Law, and I think other important heads of the department also are available here now. Yeah, as you have correctly mentioned, the question you have asked from me is what is the legal research and how to conduct a research. Yeah, within a half an hour period, you have given me a challenge. What is the challenge? To explain you, to discuss with you, to have a lesson with you with regard to the legal research and how to conduct a research, which is in fact a challenging thing. So therefore, I don't think that this is the research methodology one is something according to our postgraduate programs covered with more than 20 or even more than 20 or 25 hours period. So then such a long things, how can I explain you within half an hour? So that is my challenge now. So however, as basic, as I thought of giving you some basic things with respect to legal research and the research, how to conduct a research. So, okay, then first thing I need to explain with you or discuss with you is what does mean by research. So as students, you mean the research, you understand the research is the combination of two parts. One is re plus search. It is re plus search. Re mean again, repetitions. Once again and again. Search means looking at something very carefully, closely. Looking at something very carefully, closely. Or then again, looking at something very closely and carefully means research. So in that scenario, with that idea, so when we are conducting a research, it should be a careful cross examination of something in order to find out a solution. Why we need to find out the solutions? We need to find out the solutions because there must be questions, problems to be resolved. So in a research, therefore, there should be a problem, issue to be analyzed, to be understood, to be resolved if possible, or at least to suggest something in order to resolve the questions. So in a research, in fact, therefore, basically, it involves with a procedure. In a research, there is, I think, even a Sinhala medium students and Tamil medium students can understand. So therefore, I am not going to say everything in Sinhala because of the time constraint. I use very simple words in English in order to explain you the things, right? So then, in a research, there should be a procedure to be followed. So therefore, the research, in a research, there is a procedure. Procedure to be followed with following a technique, a method. That is what Dr. Punchihewa, our dean, very correctly mentions. In a research, there must be a methodology. Methodology means the technique. Yes, what is the technique that you would use in your research? These are the theoretical aspect, but I will now come to the very practical things. So when we are discussing things with practical example only, you will understand these things very clearly. So these kind of research activities have been discussed by us and also will be discussed in future by all of us because of the knowledge developed by mainly in Western countries. It is an accepted norm in Western countries with Western ideologies thinking that is, if you do not understand something, if the sources are not available with me sufficiently to understand something unknown, if the available sources are not sufficient to us to understand something unknown, it is the theory to be followed that we should understand unknown things by following the known things. We should understand the unknown things by following the known things. If the known things provide us sufficient, if having an analysis on known things, then we can conclude, we can have a hypothesis on what is unknown, and accordingly we can build up new knowledge. This is the basic of research. For example, in some legal areas, we don't know the existing laws. We don't know the new laws. But we know, as Dr. Punchihewa very correctly pointed out, in Sri Lanka, for example, we don't have data protection law. We don't have privacy law as parliament enactments passed by the parliament. But in order then, but you can have a research on this one. But you know that as we don't have a law on this one, how can we suggest a new law? These are the unknown areas. This area is not prevalent in the country. This knowledge is prevalent in the country. Then how can we access to that one? Through non-knowledge. Because there are many knowledge already available in the world with respect to this one. So then what we do is we go for comparative analysis, which is called the comparative analysis. We can see that in other countries, UK, USA, India to some extent, we have data protection laws. So we look at these non-laws, available laws, and accordingly we decide what are the concepts, what are the principles that we can gather, collect, get from them in order to develop our own law. So in a research, this thing is very important. So therefore, in a research, before conducting a research, before writing a research paper as well, you must understand the fact that you are going to do a research in an unknown new area. So most of the occasions, what we normally do is that you start writing the paper without knowing what you are going to do, what we are going to research on, where you are going. First, you want to complete the research and research paper, and then only you will think of doing a research. Research paper is a result of a good research. Research paper should be a result of a good research. So Thomas Alva Edison had no knowledge about the bulb, electric bulb. So he thought of producing something like that was not the part of the available knowledge at that time. But he thought if something like that had been something like that, it could have been a very important thing for the world. So he started researching on that one. So he followed several methods, some with failures, some with successful approaches. Ultimately, following those methods, research techniques, he ultimately won this one. Then now he can write a research paper on how to produce an electric bulb, explaining how he has done his works, started his work, what the issue he had, what the research problem he had in mind at the time of initiation his first research. What are the methods he followed, how he was successful, failed, what was the findings ultimately he got, how he got it, and what are the benefits available, things like that. So likewise, even in our research, legal research, as again, Dr. Punchihewa mentioned very correctly, we are not going to do that kind of practical knowledge based research, but mainly the theoretical based research as legal academics and legal students, law students. In that scenario, suppose that how can we conduct a research? Suppose as students in the faculty of law, you have a problem in your mind. What? You have a problem in your mind. How many students in your batch come from rural areas? What are their social status? How many students are from Colombo or Colombo suburbs or city areas? What are their social status? So then how can you conduct a research on this particular problem? Because now you have a problem to be solved. This can be something important in future for the society, for the next generation as well. Because one thing you must understand is the whatever the research that you engage in, especially in legal area, must be benefited by the society. Right? So in the particular example just given by me, how can you do that one? Right? First thing you can do it very easily manually. Manually in the sense you go by one students and one by students and students, one student to other students, and ask from where you come from. So what is your village? What is your residential areas? Things like that. So other way that you can do is you prepare a questionnaire or something like that, in which it includes the questions like your residential area, your family backgrounds, things like that in that particular question, and you distribute it among the students, and then asking them to reply to that one, complete that, and give you back within a particular time of period. So that is the one way of conducting a research in order to give a solution to your issue problem. Other way is you do not access to students. You can also do the research without accessing to the students, but by way of accessing to the documents. You go to College House or the Registrar Office of the Faculty of Law and get the relevant information with the names of the students, their registration numbers, and with their residential areas, particulars, things, and then accordingly you identify the areas, names, their family backgrounds, things like that. So no approach to the person is practically, technically, but you access to the documents, and through the documents you come to a conclusions by analyzing the documents. So this type of two kind of research are generally called, as Dr. Punchihewa also mentions, qualitative research and quantitative research. Quantitative research basically comes with the data, and we analyze the data. We get the data collected, and we follow certain method of getting the data, and accordingly we come to a conclusion or findings, and sometimes with some recommendations as well. And also other ways doing research is the qualitative one, which is very familiar with legal researchers. There you mainly involved with what is called qualitative research or the theoretical research. There you analyze the literatures, existing knowledge, existing documents, existing literature, in order to identify where the law now is. Because in a legal research, it is very important you to not to explain, not to produce, not to reproduce what is the existing knowledge. Reproducing the existing knowledge is not a good way of doing an original research. What you are expected is to do original work by researching into the existing knowledge and identifying the research gap between your question and the existing knowledge. identifying the research gap. Because your questions at hand does not address to the existing knowledge. Existing knowledge is not sufficient enough to address your given question. There is a gap. When you look at the existing knowledge, it comes to some certain point and stay there. So that is why in a research, when commencing a research, analyzing the existing research, existing knowledge or the literature review is very important. So then you may be asked by your friends or your teacher to write a research article or research paper. Then you be wonder bit, how can I start writing a research paper? I need to do a research. So your question is, how do you start your research? From where you start? Because you don't have in your mind, you are here in your mind, what is the existing issue that I need to address? Therefore, very clearly, as the first things you need to understand, identify the area, which is called the topic. What is the area? What is the particular point that you need to address? Whether it is some lacunas in patent law, whether it is something related to the existing presidential system of the country, whether, as Dr. Punchihewa mentions, whether the data protection law is sufficient, or whether in our country, right to information law introduced in the recent past has effective implementation in the country or not. Those are the things that we can find out. The first thing, important thing is to identify the area. So then you need to find out what is the problem to be solved or to be addressed by you. For that, you need to do a literature review or reading on the existing available sources. That is very important. So without reading, once selected the particular topic or area to be researched by you, then relevant documents you can get. Information from the online, information from the journals, articles, information from the textbooks, all the ways you can read out them. Then only you will find out, yes, there is a research gap. Yes, this question having by me at my hand is really a question that has not yet been addressed properly by anyone else. There is a lacuna in the existing literature with respect to the particular area. Therefore, you need to have a research problem with you in your any type of research. Topic and relevant research. Yes. Any question, please? Research. In a research, you need to have a kind of research problem. I would say you that if you can draft a good research problem, if you can formulate a good research problem, you have almost complete your research. You have correctly directed to the place where you should go. You are intended to go. It is called, if you can formulate a good research problem, that means when you are going to start a journey, you have clearly identified the destination of your journey. If you are start going somewhere else, say, without knowing the destination, it is a fruitless journey. It is not an effective journey. You must start your journey knowing where you expecting to go. So knowing very well your research problem means you know your destinations. And also it is called the research problem is the foundation of a building. It is sometimes called the foundation of a building, which means once it is laid down, on that you can very easily build up the building. Building means your other part of the research, right? Therefore, it is very important in your research first to identify the area, then a good research problem. In some cases, you find that finding out research questions or the problem is sometimes not easy. But just look at, I will give some examples. But think about the patent law, those who have done the IP law. In patent law, you find that patent protections given for the particular individual helps to inspire others to engage in research. Therefore, it will help others to engage in research, and that will help for the R&D, that is for the research and development, and that will help indirectly for the economic development of the country. So therefore, good patent protections means giving some kind of incentive or inspirations for others to engage in research. So therefore, there will be a research culture in the particular country, which will lead to a good economic development. Because if there are many new knowledge, innovations, or the inventions in the country, that will help to develop a good knowledge. But at the same time, it is questionable, giving such a strong protection for individual means we allow the particular persons to have a monopoly over the particular product. Nobody can involve with that, and nobody can make the same products without the consent, approval, permissions from the persons. Therefore, he has all the authority of deciding the prices, number of productions, bulk. So accordingly, he can even control the price, which will affect for the society at large in adverse manner. If it is something that would affect for the society, with something like the healthcare systems or the drugs or medicine or something like that. So the producer of the particular product can control the prices so that it would affect badly for the general public when it comes to health issues. So how can we have a kind of balance between these things? Once we need to protect the patent rights as well as the inventors' inspirations, at the same time looking at the people's right to access to their human right to access to health, drugs, medicine, things like that. So then your question can be whether having a good, effective, productive patent system would help for the whole sustainable development of the country. It will affect for the economic development to some extent, but whether it would affect for the sustainable development of the country is a questioner. So then you can say, although it is mentioned that the patent protections give inspirations and the incentive for the producers to make new inventions so that it would affect for the economic development, it is also questionable because of the monopoly given to him. He has the right to involve with human rights of the general societies of the public. So whether this would affect for the, whether the patent protection would affect for the economic development is okay, but whether it would affect for the sustainable development of the country is question. So something like that, you need to identify a researchable area in your particular this one, and accordingly start your research, right? So then you have to analyze the existing literature and accordingly identify what are the existing literature and whether the existing literature helps to solve your problem. Accordingly, you can decide whether you have an answer to this one or not. One thing I need to emphasize in this particular discussion is when you are doing this kind of research, most importantly, you should understand the fact that you need not to come for a predetermined perceptions in your research. That is against the ethics of research. Why? If you have predetermined that your final decisions, final acceptance, final conclusion would be something like that, at the very beginning, you will be directed by your research itself to go only for that directions. That you can't decide at the very beginning of your research. Because some may think that you need to prove particular hypothesis. I'm not going to discuss about the hypothesis here. You need first things that you need to decide these things according to your existing hypothesis or the perception in your mind. For example, suppose that you are going to do a research in executive presidency. You believe that executive is helpful for the speedy economic development of the country. It is your perception. So you start doing a research to prove that hypothesis, thinking that, and also gathering the information that would only help for proving that perceptions in your mind, which is not a part of a good research. You allow through your research by looking at the several various perspective aspects of the existing literature to see whether the particular hypothesis or the perception that are in your mind is correct or not. You can't say it. If you are going to prove only the idea in your mind at the end of your research, that is not a result of a good research. The technique that you use in your research, maybe empirical research or the data or the literature reviews that you engage in, must be used to identify the existing knowledge, and accordingly you can finally identify whether your idea will be proved or not. Let the research to decide that one. Don't to have a perception in your mind and work towards proving your perception in your research, right? I think that what I have discussed here is not something to be explained so simply in such a short period of time, but I must allow our other resource persons to engage in, because they might be waiting for some times. So let me to conclude this discussions. I congratulate all of you for initiating this kind of activity. In fact, we all the time welcome this kind of activities. I think with Dr. Punchihewa's, my comments, and also Professor Wasantha Seneviratne and Professor Sarveshwanas will give you a more enlightenment over this one. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you all. Thank you once again.
I'm apparently confirmed that the audience received much awareness on how to conduct their legal research. Thank you very much, sir. Your words were truly inspiring.
Thank you.
As the third keynote speaker for the day, I would now cordially invite Professor Wasantha Seneviratne, the head of the Department of Public and International Law, to guide us for some vital concerns. Dear Madam, you are welcomed to share with us on the organization of a research conference, and you are also invited to provide the method of drafting a research paper.
Thank you, Ms. Muthu, for very kind invitation, and all the Thulawa organizers. Well, I think my task is now much easier because I got to know Dr. Punchihewa did the part about how to write an abstract. මම හිතන්නේ මට මූලික වශයෙන් කතා කරලා තිබුණේ කොහොමද abstract එකක් ලියන්නේ සහ research paper එකක් ලියන්නේ කොහොමද කියන කාරණය. නමුත් මම හිතන්නේ දැන් මම abstract එක ලියන ගැන වැඩි කතා කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. because Dr. Punchihewa already completed it. May I know how many minutes will you give to me? So with that, I can organize my presentation. The
30
time of
minutes are allocated for you, madam.
half an hour.
Yes, madam.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me very briefly begin with how to organize a research conference. It may not take even 5 minutes. First, let me congratulate for this wonderful idea of organizing a student-led seminar. I believe that, you know, this seminar that you have to follow some of the guidelines generally followed by any conference organizers. You have to call for abstracts. That is the first thing. So then you have to prepare the guidelines as to how that the abstract should be written, and the conference theme. Conference theme එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. දැන් අපි දන්නවා නීතිය කිව්වහම ඊටාම පුළුල් ශාස්ත්‍රයක්. So even in the faculty we have public law department, public and international department, private and comparative law department, then commercial law department. Likewise, that there could be, if you are going to have 1 day or 2 days or how many technical sessions. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ මේ වෙලාව අපි ඒ තරම් නාස්ති කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ how to organize the conference කියන එක ගැන. මොකද even you all can meet us and we can have some discussion about that. So you can plan the conference to allow as much as possible students to attend it. That is very important. Then secondly, you have to think about whether you will allow the students of other law teaching institutions to attend it, or whether you will allow even some 1 or 2 international research students to present their papers, whether it is online or on site. So these are some of the preliminary things that you have to discuss. You can have parallel sessions, you know. So if so, then you will be able to give more opportunity to the students number wise. So those things are some of the practical things. So when you advertise for asking for abstracts, so then the guideline should be there. I heard that Dr. Punchihewa was talking about how to write an abstract. So basically you can ask from 250 words to 500 words, but you can determine whether it is 300, 400, 250, etc. So in the abstract, that some of the basic things should be there. As I have prepared my presentation already, let me quickly run through. Right. They're going to pay now. Me කොහොමද අපි මේ abstract එක ලියන්නේ? Abstract එකක් කියන්නේ ඔබලාගේ පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවේ සමස්ත සාරාංශය. So when a reader will read your abstract reviewer, when that the abstract would be received and reviewed, that they should be able to understand about your full research work or the full research paper to be published or written very soon. Abstract එක තමයි කැඩපත වෙන්නේ. ඒක තමයි සාරාංශ වෙන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට හැමදේම ගේන්න බෑ. මම හිතන්නේ ඔබලා මේ පාස් කරන කාලේ සාරාංශය ලියලා ඇති. අපි සාරාංශයක් ලියනකොට අනවශ්‍ය වචන ලියන්නේ නෑනේ. තවද මාක් නිසාද යත් වැඩිදුරටත් පවසන්නේ නම් furthermore, moreover, to expand it more, something like that, that you don't need unnecessary wordings. So you have to be very sharp, very focused, and you have to leave out all the jargons to avoid the word count is very very packed. So then you have to pack everything as you say. So your research paper, if I talk about that authors are required to engage in critical analysis of the relevant law. අපි නිකන් රචනාවක් නෙමෙයි මේ ලියන්නේ. We are not writing an essay, right? This is a piece of research paper. මේක පර්යේෂණයක්, පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක්. එතකොට මේක ඉතාම හොඳ විශ්ලේෂණයක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අපි නිකන් සුන්දර සුරංගනා කතාවක් එහෙම නැත්නම් කෙටි කතාවක් ලියන වගේ දෙයක් නෙමෙයි පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් තුලින් කරන්නේ. It should demonstrate comprehensive knowledge and the understanding of the field that you are going to write about. ඔබලා කතා කරන්න යන නීති ශාස්ත්‍රය. ඒ නීති ශාස්ත්‍රය ඔබලා තෝරගත්තු විෂය ප්‍රදේශය. ඒ පිළිබඳව හොඳ සංවිධානාත්මක දැනුම් ගවේෂණයක් ඒ වගේම ඒක හොඳට විශ්ලේෂණය කරලා ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම අවශ්‍යයි. So choosing an area for your research. I have mentioned researchability is the key, right? අපි පර්යේෂණයක් කරන්න යනවා නම් අපිට ඉස්සර වෙලාම අපිට තෝරගන්න ඕනේ කාරණාවක් තියෙනවා. මේක පර්යේෂණයකට ප්‍රමාණවත්ද? So we need to have preliminary reading of some of the other research papers on similar topics, similar subject matter, and we have to see whether this is already researched. So then your research paper will not have any interest for the readers to read and find it as enthusiastic. So that you have to go for researchability. Therefore, that you have to select a broad area for your research first. අපි හිතමු අපි ඔබලා තීරණය කරනවා public law, පොදු නීති, එහෙම නැත්නම් private law, පෞද්ගලික නීති, එහෙම නැත්නම් වාණිජ නීති, commercial law, comparative laws, international law. මේ වගේ broad area එකක් මුලින්ම හිතා ගන්න ඕන. Then you have to whenever the subject, whatever subject that you choose, you must ensure that your research is not too broad. You have to be very focused, either in terms of the breadth of the topic or for comparative legal research in terms of the number of jurisdiction to be compared. Narrow it down. අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලාම පටන් ගන්න broad area එකකින් අපි හිතමු අන්තර්ජාතික නීතිය, එහෙම නැත්නම් මානව හිමිකම් නීතිය. මම මේ කතා කරන්නේ මම ගණන විෂයයන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මානුෂවාදී නීතිය, එහෙම නැත්නම් ලංකාවේ නීති පද්ධති ආදි වශයෙන් ඔබලා තෝරගත්තට පස්සේ that you have to have a very narrow down focus, very sharp, fine tune focus. ඉතින් ඒකෙන් ඔබලා තෝරගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි මම මේකෙන් තෝරගන්නවා ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මානව හිමිකම් තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳ අන්තර්ජාතික විමර්ශන. මානව හිමිකම් කවුන්සිලේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා සම්බන්ධයෙන් සම්මත කරන්න දුණු resolutions, යෝජනා සම්මත ආශ්‍රයෙන් තමයි මම තෝරගන්නේ. A person, a student, a prospective writer might narrow down, okay, from human rights that I am going to talk about the resolutions adopted by Human Rights Council with regard to Sri Lanka and its implication for the future of Sri Lanka or something like that. You have to have a focus very narrow down and very straightforward and focused. Yeah, choose a researchable specific area for your research. So what is an abstract? I will share this presentation. So with that you can read it further. An abstract is a conscious and coherent summary of your proposed research paper. It sets out the central issues or questions that you intend to address. It outlines a general area of study within which your research falls, referring to the current state of knowledge and any recent debates. It also demonstrates the originality of your proposed research. මයිති වැඩි කතා කරන්න යන්නේ මොකද සම්පත් සර් කිව්වා මේ රිසර්ච් එක දිහා බලපුවම ඉතාම කෙටියෙන් මොනවද ඔබේ ලියන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකාවේ ආරමුණු ඒකේ තියෙන ප්‍රධානම පර්යේෂණ ගැටලුව මොකද්ද රිසර්ච් ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එක මොකද්ද අනුගමනය කරන මෙතොලොජි එක ඉතාම වචන කිහිපයයි මේක ලයිබ්‍රරි බේස් රිසර්ච් එකක්ද එහෙම නැත්නම් ෆීල්ඩ් රිසර්ච් එකක්ද මික්ස් මෙතඩ්ස් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ඒ ආදි වශයෙන් කරුණු ඉතාම කෙටියෙන් ලියලා ඊට වඩා ඔබලා රිසර්ච් එක සඳහා තෝරා ගනු ලබන පර්යේෂණ ගැටලුව තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ඉතා වැදගත් වෙන්නේ සහ පර්යේෂණ ආරමුණු සහ ඉතාම සරලව key findings මොකද ඇත්තටම නම් අපි කියන්නේ abstract එකක් ලියන එක තමයි දෙවන අදියර හරිනම් මුලින්ම රිසර්ච් පේපර් එක ලියන්න ඕන ටික උදාහරණයකට ගන්න ඔබලගේ පැවරුමක් ඔබලා උදාහරණයට ගත්තොත් පැවරුම ලියලා ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ කවුරු හරි ඇහුවොත් එම ඔයාලගේ මේ අසයින්මන්ට් එකේ මොනවද ලියලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා හරි කෙටියෙන් කියන්න පුළුවන් දුවන ගමනොත් කියන්න පුළුවන් හැබැයි අසයින්මන්ට් එක ලියන්න කලින් ඇහුවොත් එම ඔය අසයින්මන්ට් එකේ මොනවද ඔයා අන්තර්ගත කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ කියලා දුවන ගමන් නෙමෙයි මේ ඉඳගෙනවත් කියවන්න බෑ මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ that you have not done your assignment ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මම නම් කියන්නේ මූලික පරිශ්‍රණය යම් ප්‍රමාණයකට කරලා ඉවර වෙනකොට තමයි හොඳ ඇබ්ස්ට්‍රැක්ට් එකක් ලියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඇබ්ස්ට්‍රැක්ට්ස් වලට call කරාම when call for abstracts that please try to have at least 2-3 page outline of what you are going to do. Then only that you will realize what is the research problem, what are the objectives, what are the key findings. මේ පරිශ්‍රණ අවසානයේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට යම් යම් තොරතුරු අනාවරණය වෙනවා. පරිශ්‍රණාත්මක අනාවරණය කිරීම හම්බ වෙනවා. Key findings and some recommendations and conclusions. ඉතින් අපි abstract එකේදී යම් ප්‍රමාණයකට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා key findings, a summary of key findings and recommendations and conclusion very briefly. ඒ කියන්නේ මේක පොඩි අර මම කිව්වාගේ මේ a mirror that reflect what your research going to be. Therefore, that you better to have kind of an idea about what your research paper. So, if possible, that you better write the skeleton of your research paper in 2-3 pages. Then you will find what are the key elements that you can summarize and include in your abstract. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මේ වෙනකොට මේනක සර් කතා කළා. ඒ වගේම සම්පත් සර් කතා කළා. ඒ නිසා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් chat box එකට දැම්මොත් මේක නිකන් ප්‍රශ්න උත්තර සැසියක් විදිහටත් යන්න පුළුවන්. මම හිතන්නේ එතකොට ඒ කාරණාව ඔබලාට පැහැදිලි වෙයි. හරි. මම හිතන්නේ මම මෙතනදී කියලාත් තියෙනවා good abstract will help you to plan and map out your study, serves as a framework, guides to present the key problem, objectives and the research gap. ඉතාම වැදගත්. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ මොනවා හරි පරීක්ෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් ලියනකොට there should be a research gap. එක්ක කවුරු හරි කරලා නැති වෙන්න ඕන. ඉතින් එහෙම දේවල් හොයන්න හරි අමාරුයි. එහෙමනම් කවුරු හරි කරලා තියෙන දෙයක් වුණත් නව ප්‍රවේශයක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. that you can bring out a new perspective, or otherwise that you can update already done research. Still there is a space for kind of a update. කවුරු හරි කරලා තියෙන දෙයක් හැබැයි ඒක කරලා තියෙන 2000 අවුරුදු දක්වා. I think from 2000 or up to 2015. So you have some update to be done. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ ඔයගොල්ලන් තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ මොකද්ද කරන්නේ. මේක කවදාවත් කවුරුත් කරලා නැති දෙයක්ද කරන්නේ. ඉතින් හරි අමාරුයි එහෙම දේවල් නම් හොයාගන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් අලුත් perspective එකක් අලුත් පැතිකඩකින් අලුත් මානයකින් ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔබලාට යාවත් කාලින කරන්න පුළුවන් දැන් කරලා තියෙන රිසර්ච් එක. මට මේ හැම කරුණම කරන්න පුළුවන් එකට. සමහර කාරණා අලුතෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා, සමහර ඒවාට අලුත් ප්‍රවේශයක් ගන්නවා, සමහර ඒවා අප්ඩේට් කරනවා. So it is up to you. And the methodology, I think Dr. Sampath explained it. So the keywords, everything, I think he explained. A student writing a research paper needs to keep in mind some fundamental questions. How will the students' research enrich existing approach in their chosen area of study? What is the major contribution that the student is going to make? ඇත්තටම ඔයගොල්ලන් මේක තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. හොඳම දේ තමයි the best way of doing a good research paper is first read a good research paper. So you have to find good research articles are done in several journals. You may be writing in Sinhala, English or Tamil. In koi භාෂාවෙන් ලිව්වත් හොඳ research papers ලියලා තියෙන එක. පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකා, journal article, සංග්‍රහ ලිපි ආදී එකක් අරගෙන බලන්න. කොහොමද මේක ලියලා තියෙන්නේ? structure එක බලා ගන්න. ඒතර ඔයගලන්ට පෙනෙයි title එකක් තියෙනවා. ඉස්සෙල්ලාම කරන්න ඕන දේ තමයි නමක් දෙන්න එපා නේද? Title of the research paper. So you have to begin with a tentative title. You will be able to revise your title if necessary during the course of writing your research paper. However, you cannot change it over and again as it might affect the contents of the paper. තිස්සර වෙලාම අපි හොඳ සිත් ගන්නා සුළු ආකර්ශනීය ආටිකල් එකට දෙන්න ඕන ටයිටල් එකක් හෙඩින් එකක් දෙන්න ඕන. ඒ හරි වැදගත් මේක. එතකොට තමයි කියවන්න ආසාවක් ඇති වෙන්නේ. මේ කාට හරි කියවගෙන යනකොට අපි හිතමු ඔයගොල්ලෝ තුලා මැගසින් එක කියලා මේකේ අවසාන පරමාර්ථය. ඉතින් මෙතන ආටිකල්ස් 10ක් 15ක් තියෙනකොට අපි හිතමු කාට හරි මේක කියවන්න ඕන තමන්ගේ අධ්‍යයන කටයුතු සඳහා වැඩිදුර දැනුම සඳහා. So then they will first look at the name. Right. So with that they will understand okay, the topic is very interesting, very eye-catching, right? Then they will look at the abstract, right? So with that, they will determine whether to read this or not. Even the organization of your research paper is very interesting. We know that when you are writing your assignments, that you organize the contents of your assignments in a very attractive manner. The reader, the teacher, us, will find it very interesting. That only the structure or the title will not make it a very nice research paper. The contents, analysis, arguments, those things are very important. But you have to begin with a good title. Because the title also should summarize the main idea or the ideas of your study. A good title contains the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents and the purpose of your research paper. අපි ගොඩාක් වචන පාවිච්චි කරන තු ඉතා කෙටියෙන් හැබැයි අපේ රිසර්ච් පේපර් එකේ තිබෙන අන්තර්ගතය අරමුණු ආදී පැහැදිලි වෙන විදිහේ ටයිටල් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. The title is without doubt the part of a paper that is read the most and it is usually read first. මේක ඉස්සර වෙලාම කියවන්නේ නේ වැඩියෙන්මත් කියවන දේ තමයි ආටිකල් එකේ නම. Right? If the title is too long, it usually contains too many unnecessary words. Study to investigate, so those things are unnecessary. That you have to be very precise, right? You have to have a very nice, very condensed title to attract and to reflect what you are going to say. So these are some of the characteristics of an effective title. මම නම් කියන්නේ දැන් මම උනත් රිසර්ච් ආටිකල් එකක් ලියනකොට පේපර් එකක් ලියනකොට I write normally about 5-6 titles and then I will find what is the best, so you can write couple of and you can knock off by yourself until that you are happy with your title කීපයක් ලියන්න පුළුවන්. Recently I wrote a book chapter to one of the books published by the faculty. It was about monism and dualism, incorporation of international law into domestic law. I wanted to propose a mixed method. If third year students are here, they might remember this monism and dualism are the ways of domesticating international law obligation into to domestic context. අන්තර්ජාතික නීතින් දේශීය නීතිය හඳුන්වා දෙන ක්‍රම තමයි මේ monism dualism නැත්නම් ඒකීයවාදය ද්විත්වවාදය. I pose it as whether a marriage is apposite between monism and dualism. මට ඕන ටිකක් මේක ට්‍රැක් කරන්න මම අහනවා මේ දෙක අතර විවාහයක් ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒක කොච්චර ප්‍රායෝගිකද? ඒතර කවුරු හරි බලනවා what does this mean? Monism and dualism, a marriage between monism and dualism, whether it is apposite in incorporating international law into domestic law. ඒ වගේ සමහරලාට අපි ටිකක් අර රසවත් කරන දේවල් දානවා. අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇවිත් වෙනවා madam, what are the law journals that includes research papers both local and international? So we have several. You can begin with even we have our own faculty publications. We have Sri Lanka Journal of International Law. We have Colombo Law Review. So my advice is try to read law journal because the methodologies, the law, the authors of with a legal background writes are quite different from sociological writings or natural science writings, etc. නීතිය පිළිබඳ සංග්‍රහයක්ම තෝරගන්න උත්සාහ කරන්න. ඉතින් මගේ උදාහරණ දෙක Colombo Law Review from Sri Lanka, the law faculty publishes it, and even Sri Lanka Journal of International Law. In certain places, recently I reviewed a paper for Royal Institute, RI Law Journal, Manurawa from Law College. So these are some of the examples from Sri Lanka. And you can find many law journals, I mean, by just having a Google search with your title even. Say that you wanted to write about parent and child and custody rights of a child, etc. So just write and ask for a legal article or legal analysis of custodial rights, something like that. So when you just Google with the legal analysis, මං හිතන්නේ මේ direct messages එවන්න නැතුව අනිත් අයටත් බලන්න එවුවා නම් හොඳයි. මොකද එතකොට කැමති වෙයි අයට හොඳ නීති සංග්‍රහ ටිකක් කියන්න පුළුවන් ද ලංකාවේ. ඉතින් අපි ගොඩාක් ඇත්තටම ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් තමයි අපි ලංකාවේ වුණත් අපි පබ්ලිෂ් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි ඉතින් අපිට තුලා මැගසින් එක ඕගොල්ලන්ගේම දේ තියෙනවා සිංහලෙනොත් ඊට කලින් අවුරුද්දවලදී පබ්ලිෂ් කරා. ඉතින් මේවත් හොඳ මට්ටමේ තියෙන පර්යේෂණ පත්‍රිකා විදිහට මම දකිනවා. එතකොට මනුරාව වගේ දේවල් ඊට පස්සේ bar association law journal තියෙනවා. judges law journal එක තියෙනවා. මේ අපිත් ඒකට ගොඩක් ලියනවා. ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. මට මතකෙන් ටිකයි කියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ ටික තමයි මට මේ වෙලාවේ හැටියට කියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. So avoid using abbreviations. අපි අර කෙටියෙන් ලියන්නේ in the title that you have to have the, I mean, for an example, you don't write PIL analysis of public and international analysis කියන එක අපි කෙටියෙන් PIL analysis කියලා ලියන්නේ title එක. This is just an example, right? So title should be neither too long nor too short. අපි උඩට කෙටිය ලියන්න යන්නෙත් නෑ. සමහරවිට අපි අර මැදින් colon එකක් දාලා දෙපැත්තට කඩනවා. We can say say Human Rights Council resolutions on Sri Lanka, colon, a critical appraiser. එහෙමත් අපි ලියන වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් අපිට මම හිතන්නේ තවදුරටත් මේවා කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. හොඳ journal articles බලපුවාම idea එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Making a good title for a research paper involves ensuring that the title of the research accomplishes 4 goals. Predicts the content, should be interesting to the reader, it should reflect the tone of the writing, and it should contain important keywords that will make it easier to be located during a keyword research. සමහරවිට ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ මේ ලිව්වට පස්සේ තවත් අයට අවශ්‍ය වුණොත් එම මේක ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එක අන්තර්ජාලයට මේක අප්ලෝඩ් කරලා තිබ්බ වෙලාවක keywords type කරපුවාම ඒ ආටිකල් එක ඕගොල්ලන්ට ඒක හොයාගන්න ලේසි වෙන විදිහට නැත්නම් වෙන රීඩර් කෙනෙකුට හොයාගන්න ලේසි වෙන්න title එකේ තියෙන keywords උත් වැදගත්. අපි ඊට පස්සේ බලමු how to write this research paper. In the research paper you should explain the broad background against which you will conduct your research. You should include a brief overview of the general area of study, summarize the current state of knowledge, recent debates on the topic, current approaches to the study, and particular contemporary question issues, developments, and this will allow you to demonstrate a familiarity with the relevant field and how it will lead to formulate your research problem. මේ research paper එක ගත්තහම ඒකෙදී අපි ගොඩාක් කාරණා අන්තර්ගත කරනවා. විෂය දැනුම තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම ඒ විෂය සම්බන්ධ මාතෘකා සම්බන්ධ මෑත කාලීන නොයෙකුත් සංවාද තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම නූතන ප්‍රවේශයන් තිබෙන්නට ඕන. අපි කතා බහ කරන නොයෙකුත් ප්‍රශ්න, ගැටලු, සංවර්ධන තත්ත්වයන්, සංවර්ධන කියන්නේ මේ development කියන්නේ මේ අර ජාතික සංවර්ධනය, ආර්ථික සංවර්ධනය, නීතිය පිළිබඳ සංවර්ධන. ඒක සමාජයට කොච්චර ගැළපෙනවද? කොච්චර කාලෝචිතද? How much it is connect to what we are learning, and even another student, another scholar in the same field might be very interested to refer your paper in their own research. Api research, my Dr. Sampath kiwa, research is something that from known to unknown. Api danna thanin patan ganna aragena api step එකක් ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියනවා. So you have to take your reader from the well established knowledge domain to something new, additional knowledge contribution. So then a future reader, a future scholar, future author will quote from you and they will put it as a footnote. Just imagine a day that your own work will be cited by someone else. That will be wonderful, isn't it? අපේ references ගන්නවාද කියන්නකො. ඔයගොල්ලෝ reference කරනවානේ. ඕගොල්ලෝ වෙනත් පොත් වලින් එහෙම නැත්නම් journal articles වලින් කරුණු අරගෙන ලියනවා. Malcolm Shaw public international law book, this Oxford University publication, page number 10 එහෙම ලියනවා. පොඩක් හිතන්න කවදා හරි දවසක ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ පරිශන පත්‍රිකාවක් එහෙම නැත්නම් research paper එකක් තව කවුරුත් ලියන. අපි කියමුකෝ Prince Bandaranayaka Colombo Law Review Thulawa journal article එකේ නම page number 5 published in 2022. Methmudu Abevikrama title and the Thulawa magazine and page number and the year of publication. So you will develop kind of you can be very happy that you have contributed something to the knowledge domain. Always think in such a way. If someone wants to quote from me, to refer to me, to my work, and whether I have add something tangible through my research. ඒක තමයි වෙන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැතුව මේ හැමෝම දන්න හැමදේම ඒවත් ලියන්න ඕන. That you have to begin from very basic stuff. Then you have to be analytical, argumentative, and you have to summarize the key findings, and then with your recommendation that you can end it. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ පරීක්ෂණ පත්‍රිකා ලියනකොට මේ හරියට නිකන් මේ සිද්ධීපාද යනවා වගේ තමයි. බඩු මළු ලෑස්ති කරගන්න ඕන, වාහනේ නැගලා යන්න ඕන. That is your methodology, right? You have the contents, so that are in your backpack or whatever. Then you have to climb one by one, right? And you will gather certain things in Idikatupana, Haramitipana, and Ambalama, and all this, that you get some other further things to be added to your journey of writing your thing. But finally, you will reach the climax of what you want to achieve. අපිට අන්තිමට යන්න ඕන තැනට අපේ central argument එක, අපේ additional කරුණ, අපේ විරුද්ධ මතවාදී, මේ දේවල් මේකේ අන්තර්ගත වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒකට තමයි ඒක යම් රසවත් බවක් වගේ මේක හරවත් බවක් තියෙනවා. It should be having some weight, and it should contribute to the scholarship of the field of legal research that you have been doing. මට තව කොච්චර වෙලාව තියෙනවද දන්නේ problem that you have to find a problem or a research problem, central research problem that may ඇත්තට මම මේක මම අපේ තව ගොඩක් රිසර්ච් කරන ළමින්ටත් හදපු එකක් තමයි පොඩ්ඩක් මම හැඩ ගහලා ගත්තේ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පොඩි අපි රිසර්ච් ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එකක් තියෙනවා. මේ ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එක කියන්නේ ඇයි මේක ලියන්නේ? You should have a reason to write this article, no? So in the law faculty we teach about 19 subjects. So out of 19 subjects that you will select one subject matter. So in that subject matter that you will select one area. In that one area also that you are writing this article because you have some specific issue in your mind. Or you should have a puzzle in your mind. You need to unpack this puzzle. ප්‍රහේලිකාවක් තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ලොකු ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ නීති ශාස්ත්‍රයේ බොහොම difficult පැත්තක් තියෙනවා. කරදරකාර දෙයක් තියෙනවා මේ. ඒක කොහොමද निराකරන්නේ? contradiction එකක් තියෙනවා. ඕ gap in knowledge. මොකක් හරි දෙයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි මේකම මේක ලියන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ඔයගොල්ලෝ assignments ලියනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හම්බ වෙනවා නේ මේ වගේ ගැටලුකාරී තැන්. අපහසු තැන්, නීතිය නිරවුල් යුතු කරුණු. ප්‍රහේලිකා වගේ දේවල්. overlap වෙන තැන්. his තැන්. So then you have to find such a problematic area. Then you are trying to provide some proposal or a tangible answer. Always not you do not need to give an answer. හැමතිස්සෙම උත්තරයක්ම දෙන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ උත්සාහ කරන ඒ ගැටලු निराකරණය කරන්න. මත ඒකට නාව ප්‍රවේශයක් ලබා දෙන්න. Contradictions තියෙනවා නම්, නොගැලපීම් තියෙනවා නම් ඒයි මොනවද ඒ වටහාගෙන ඇයි එහෙම වෙන්න හේතුව? අලුත් නීති අවශ්‍යද? එහෙම නැත්නම් තියෙන නීතිවල තියෙන අඩුපාඩු මොනවද? නඩු තීන්දුවක් ඇසුරෙන් නම් කතා කරන්නේ නඩු තීන්දුව මීට වඩා වෙනස් වෙන්න තිබුණාද? ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පේනව නේද මගේ presentation එක? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, madam, we can see the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Right. So these are some of the things you need a problem in order to do research that contributes new and relevant insights. Right. So this is more about identify a problem area, engage in informed reading on the intended area of your research. This is very, very important. First, that you have to refer to some of the materials that will provide you some idea about what you are going to write. So this we call as informed reading. informed reading කියන්නේ නිකන් අර කකුල අපිට කකුලක් දාගෙන මොනවාද TV බලන ගමන් YouTube එකේ ඉන්න ගමන් Facebook ඉන්න ගමන් කියවන එකක් නෙවෙයි. බොහොම කල්පනාකාරීව අපි හිතමින් මේක හරිද මේ කියවන දේ හරිද මේ points හරිද මේට වඩා වෙනස් විදිහකට මේක ආවනම් කොහොමද? That is what that you are trying to challenge what you are reading, right? So you will gather about 10 or any number of other research on the same area or similar areas, right? Which will help you to develop further insightful thinking. අපිට බොහොම ගැඹුරින් හිතන්න උදව් කරන විදිහේ reading materials ටිකක් අරගෙන කියවලා බලන්න ඕන. Search for underexplored aspects and areas of concerns, conflict or controversy. පොඩක් හොයලා බලන්න වැඩියෙන් කවුරුතරේ කතා කරලා නැති areas, underexplored aspects, areas of concern. එහෙම නැත්නම් කවුරුත් හරි දැනගන්න කැමැත්තෙන් ඉන්න. හරි. එහෙම නැත්නම් හරි controversies තියෙනවා. බොහොම ඕලැප්ස් තියෙනවා. කවුරු හරි කැමති ඇති ඒ වගේ දේවල් ගැන තව කවුරු හරි ලියනවා නම් තව නොයෙකුත් මතවාද ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා නම්. Your goal is to find a gap that your research project can fill. Preliminary literature review is essential to identify the research gaps, knowledge gaps. I think ඒ නිසා තමයි තව මේවා ගැන ලියවිලා තියෙන literature කියන්නේ අපි කියන නීති සාහිත්‍ය. නොයෙකුත් ආකාරයේ පොත්, book chapters, journal articles, webinar materials, etc. that you can read. And listen, nowadays, if you log into Bar Association YouTube channel, so there are very good practical sessions, webinars conducted and uploaded, and so you can listen to them. Very thematic concerns. Theory සහ practice එක මැද තැනකට ගියොත් මම හිතන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට වඩා සිත් ගන්නාසුළු පරීක්ෂණ පත්‍රිකාවක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේම තමයි that you have to explain what your research objective or objectives are in a journal article or a research paper that you are planning to publish, or that abstract that you are kind of that you are writing, that there should be a main research objective. It will show that where you are moving. I have mentioned here, if you build up a house without a strong foundation, it's pretty obvious what will happen. It will collapse. So your research paper is the same. Fail to build the foundations and your study leading to your paper just won't work. It's a objective that you have to have an objective. මම මේ පොඩි objectives ටිකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. Right? Identification of subject area, problem definition, literature review, right? Data gathering, මේවා ඉතින් કોઈ common research එකකට තියෙන දෙයක් මම මේ නිකන් ගත්ත එකක්. නමුත් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අනිත් side එකේ ඕගොල්ලන්ට පේන්නේ the aim of the research is to, you have to say my objective. Another thing, when you are writing සිංහල ලියුවත් ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් ලියුවත් මොන භාෂාවෙන් ලියුවත් අපි අර first person වැඩි ලියන්නේ I write this, my paper එහෙම ලියන්නේ. The aim of this research is මේ පර්යේෂණයේ අරමුණ වන්නේ, එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ සංගරා ලිපියේ අරමුණ වන්නේ, එහෙම නැත්නම් ලේඛකයා පර්යේෂකයා අදහස් කරන researcher, author, ඒ වගේ වචන දාලා අපි third person එකෙන් ලියන්නේ. මම හිතන ඔයාලට තේරෙනවා මම මේ කියන දේ. ඉතින් third person එකෙන් ලියනවා නම් තමයි හොඳ. මෙම පර්යේෂණ ලිපිය අරමුණ වන්නේ. The aim of this research paper is, the author intends to, the researcher intends to. අපි එමයි කියන්නේ පර්යේෂකයා එහෙම නැත්නම් ලේඛකයාගේ අරමුණ, right? So if you write your aims and objectives clearly, then you will make your readers life easier. නැත්නම් reader එපා වෙනවා. A lot of students fail to clarify, clearly articulate their aims and objectives because they are not sure themselves what they actually are. සමහරලාට අපි ලියන්නේ මොනවද කියලා අපි දන්නේ නැතුවම අපිට ඒක ලියන්න බෑ. එතකොට අපේ රීඩර්ට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ලොකු පැටලෙවිල්ලක් පඹගාලේ පැටලුණා වගේ රීඩර්ත් පැටලිලා රයිටර්ත් පැටලිලා. So then you better begin with your research aims are the answer to the question, what are you doing? What am I writing? Why am I writing? How I am writing? මේ ප්‍රශ්න කීපෙට උත්තර හොයාගන්න. What I am writing? මොනවද මම ලියන්නේ? Right? Why I am writing? ඇයි මම මේක ලියන්නේ? And how I am writing? මම කොහොමද මේක ලියන්නේ? ඒතර how කියනකොට තමයි methodology එක එන්නේ. මම මේක ලියන්නේ මම පුස්තකාල පරිහරණය කළා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මම ෆීල්ඩ් එකට ගිහිල්ලා තොරතුරු හොයාගෙන ඇවිල්ලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මම නඩු තීන්දුවක් ඇනලයිස් කරනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මම reforms propose කරනවා constitution provision එකක් හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් වෙන statute එකකට හරි. Maintaining an alignment between the main research question, problem and the main research objective makes the path of your research clearer to the reader. Alignment එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ගැළපීමක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මොනවත් මතකද අපේ මේ පරිශ්‍රණය පත්‍රිකා ලියන්න යොමු වෙච්ච අපේ මනසට වද දෙන ගැටලුව මම හැමතිස්සෙම කියන්නේ we should have a problem which keep you bothered day and night, then only that you have a better research problem based on which that you can write your paper. දිවා රැ නැතුව ඔළුවට වද දෙන පරිශ්‍රණ ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා නම් හරිම හොඳයි. එතකොට අපි ඒ ගැන හිතනවා. කන කොටත් හිතනවා, වෙන වැඩක් කරන කොටත් හිතනවා. හරි එතකොට අපිට අපි දන්න මේක මම කොහොම හරි මේ නීතිමය ගැටලුව මම අන්පැක් කරගන්න ඕනේ මගේ පේපර් එක හරහා. මම රීඩර්ව පටලවන්නෙත් නැතුව මම පැටලෙන්නෙත් නැතුව මේක ලස්සට මම අන්පැක් කරලා මම මේකට යම් එක්ක අලුත් ඩයිමෙන්ෂන් එකක් ප්‍රොපෝස් කරනවා එහෙම නැත්නම් අප්ඩේට් එකක් ගේනවා එහෙම නැත්නම් මම අලුත් ලෝ එකක් ප්‍රොපෝස් කරනවා නැත්නම් මම රිෆෝම් එකක් මම ප්‍රොපෝස් කරනවා ඒ වගේ යම් අරමුණකින් යන්න ඕන. ඉතින් අපිට මේ ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව්ස් ලියනකොට වචන තියෙනවා මේ Bloom's taxonomy to write effective learning objectives. අපි දන්නවා to evaluate, to analyze, to apply, to understand. ඒ වගේ අපි එක එක to explain, to explore. අපි ඒවා තමයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ මේ අපේ research objective එක පැහැදිලි කරන්න. This paper is to explore කියලා කියනවා. මේක අපි ලියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ දේ ගවේෂණය කරන්න. The researcher writes his paper to explain, describe, analyze, or to apply, to argue, to propose. ඒ වගේ ඔයගලන්ට වචන පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ මොකද මන් දාලා තියෙන්නේ මට මතකත් නැහැ. Do some preliminary research and construct a conceptual framework. මොකද්ද මේ දකින්නේ? iceberg එකක් නේ. දැන් ඉතින් මතක් වෙනවා ඇති මොනවද? Titanic නැව ගිලුණු එකත් මතක් වෙනවා ඇති නේද? Titanic නැව ගිලෙන්නේ නැහනේ මේ iceberg එකේ මේ යට තියෙන ප්‍රමාණය දැනගෙන හිටියා නම් නේ මෙහෙම එකක් හැප්පෙයි කියලා දන්නවා නම් ගිහලා වදින්නේ නැහැ. අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් දන්නවා iceberg එකක බොහොම පොඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් උඩට පේන්නේ. යට තමයි ගැඹුරේ තියෙන්නේ. නේ? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ 1/5 of the tip of the iceberg can be seen but the rest of 4/5 of the iceberg is under the water. ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ රිසර්ච් එකත් එහෙම තමයි. මේ ලෝකේ තියෙන හැම දෙයක්ම ලියන්න බෑ. Right? So you have to, but when that you see the tip of the iceberg, that you know the depth and the gravity of the research that you have done. ඕගොල්ලෝ ලියලා තියෙන ආටිකල් එක මේක මේ ඕගොල්ලෝ විභාග වල ලියන ප්‍රශ්න වලටත් අදාළයි අසයින්මන්ට්ස් වලටත් අදාළයි. ලියලා තියෙන දේ දැක්කහම අපිට පේනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ මෙතන රිසර්ච් කරලා ලියලාද කවුරු හරි කරපු රිසර්ච් එකක් එදා උදේට ඉල්ලගෙන පොඩ්ඩක් එහා මෙහා හරවලා කන පිට ගහලා අපිට එවලා තියෙනවද අපිට ඔක්කොම තේරෙනවා. We have that experience. හරි. ඉතින් අපිට මේ පේන පොඩ්ඩෙන් අපිට ඇසියුම් කරන්න පුළුවන් අර අපිට නොපෙනෙන කොටස. ඒ නිසා ඔයගොල්ලන් හොඳ රිසර්ච් එකක් කරලා මහන්සි වෙලා හොඳ ලිටරේචර් රිවිව් එකක් කරලා කියවලා තව කම්පැරටිව් ඇනලිසිස් කරලා දෙයක් ලියනකොට වචන 2000ක් ලිව්වත් අපි දන්නවා පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන වචන 5000ක 6000ක වලගේ මහන්සි අපිට පේන්න ගන්න. Remember that is applicable to your exams as well as to assignments. The question is here, Madam, as law students, what are the law journals and websites that we can publish articles in? There are many. Even in international journals you can try. There are more. You just do in each and every law school that they have their law journals, if it is a reputed law school. In Sri Lanka, you have the KDU journal. There are private universities, as I said, RI and many, they publish. I know that our students have published, you know, but don't always try the Sri Lankan ones. If you write in English, you can even you can try international journals. Thing may ape Sinhala madhya daruwo Tamil medium students should not worry about. Even you can write something in Sinhala. and you can get the help of a good translator, and you can get it translated, and you can publish it. භාෂාව කිසිම වෙලාවක බාධාවක් කරගන්න එපා. Chinese වලින් කොච්චර ලියවෙනවද? Right? So don't worry. So then you can write in a language in which you are comfortable with, and then you can translate it. And don't think too much. In the first occasion, you can give it to an editor. Ne language එක කෙනෙකුට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. English වලින් ලිව්වත් ඔයගලට හොඳ language එක කෙනෙකුට දීලා භාෂාව හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. නේ සිංහලෙන් ලිව්වත් සමහරලාට අපිට හිතෙනවා තව කාට හරි කියලා ඇලුවා නම් මේක ව්‍යාකරණ දෝෂ ආරෙමේ නැති වෙයි. ඉතින් සරලව ලියන්න. ලොකු වාක්‍ය වැල් වටාරන් ලියන්න එපා. Now when you read the new things, new journals, that you will find short sentences, right? Some earlier authors, that if you refer to some of the well recognized reputed authors in Sri Lanka and elsewhere, that there was a time that they have written one sentence full of a page. මුළු page එකක්ම ඉවරනකල් ලියලා තියෙනවා බලනකොට මේ එක වාක්‍ය. ඉතින් දැන් එහෙම ලියන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් ගොඩක් වෙලාවට මේ passive voice වලින් ලියන්නේ active voice වලින් කෙලින් directly ලියනවා නේ. ඉතින් මම ගොඩක් කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. මම ඔයාලා ගොඩක් වෙලාව ගත්තා. ඉතින් අනිත් එක තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ට හිතේ තියෙන්න ඕන මොකද්ද මේ ඕගොල්ලන් මොකද්ද මේ අන්තිමට එළියට එන tentative answer එක අපි ඒකට කියනවා assumed outcome hypothesis කියලා කියනවා. හරි. ඉතින් write your initial answer to the question in a clear conscious sentence. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ පැත්තකින් ලියලා තියාගන්න. ඔයගොල්ලන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඔළුවට එනකොට ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියන්නේ research problem එකක් තියෙන නිසානේ මේ article එක ලියන්නේ. ඒ problem එකට ඔයගොල්ලෝ උත්තරයකුත් හිතාගෙන ඉන්නවා. සමහරට when you are doing your research, your hypothesis or your assumed outcome could not be the same. Your mindset will be changed. මුලින් හිතන් හිටපු එකට වඩා වෙනස් දෙයක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් මුලින් හිතන් හිටපු දේ confirm වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. There is no problem. A question is here, madam, may meeting occur 2020. Someone is asking whether this is relevant to 2020 new batch students, because this student has joined right now. Either I think organizers can give an answer. What is this audience of this workshop? I have no idea about other things. And about research methodology, you have to explain what the methodology, what materials you use, what theoretical framework, what method. Thing mahitana Sampath sir kiwwa ටිකක් දුර international standards අනුගමනය කරනවද, වෙනත් රටවල comparative analysis ගන්නවද? So all these things that you can follow. Your research method should explain how you are going to conduct your research. Most research are library based. If your research is library based, you should explain what your key resources are: law reports, journal articles, likewise. හරි. literature review එකක් කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක. අත literature review කරන එකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ මේ ගොඩක් ඔයගොල්ලන් කියවන එක. කියවලා ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරුණු ලබා ගන්න එක. The significance of research, you should know why, and you should be able to explain why your research is important. මුළු එකම ලියන්නේ මේකේ වටිනාකම ගැන, but you have to say at the beginning this research is significant because this is going to do this. This is going to achieve this. This will contribute to this field. So you have to say what is the significance of your research. And if you have any limitation, what do you mean by limitations? සමහර වෙලාවට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියනවා මේකේ හැමදේම කතා කරන්නේ මෙන්න මේ ශාස්ත්‍රය, මෙන්න මේ කොටස විතරයි මේකට අදාළ කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් comparative analysis එකක් නම් ලංකාවයි තවත් එක රටක් මෙන්න මේකයි ගන්න. field research එකක් කරන්න පුළුවන් research එක field research එකක් කරන්නේ නැත්නම් you have to say why that I am not doing field research, and you have to say that I am unable to go to the research due to COVID situation, or that some statistics are not available. So there are ethical reasons. ඒ වගේ ඔයගලන්ට හේතු තියෙනවා නම් ඒවත් කියන්න පුළුවන් very briefly. References, I think Sampath also said use either footnotes or endnotes as appropriate by following an accepted references style such as Oscola. Yeah, a question is there, madam, what did you mean by hypothesis? Is it basic principle? අපිට අර hypothesis එකකදී තියෙනවා අපි මොකක් මත පදනම් වෙලාද මේ රිසර්ච් පේපර් එක ලියන්නේ? මොකක් හරි මූලික පරීක්ෂණ සිද්ධාන්තයක්, එහෙම නැත්නම් නීති සිද්ධාන්තයක්, එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි උත්තරයක් ලෙස අපි හිතාගෙන ඉන්න දෙයක්. hypothesize අපි හිතනවා එහෙම කියලා නේ. කල්පිතයක් අපි ගොඩනගා ගන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒක අත්‍යවශ්‍යම නෑ ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ මට්ටමේ රිසර්ච් එකකදී. ඉතින් නමුත් අපි යම් දෙයක් හිතේ තියාගෙන අපි පාරට බහිනකොට උදේට මම යන්නේ කොළඹ, මං යන්නේ පිටකොටුවට, මං එතන යන්නේ ගුණසේන බුක් ෂොප් එකට කියලා හිතාගෙන ගියොත් ලේසි නේ. දන්නේ වගේ අපි යන මොකක් ගැනද අපි මේ කතා කරන්න කියලා that you should have something clear in your mind. That is what we call a hypothesis. Some theory or some answer, a way forward, a future answer at the end of your research exists. කාට හරි තේරුම් නැත්නම් ආයෙත් අහන්න පුළුවන්. References. පොඩි work plan එකක් තියාගන්න. ඕගොල්ලෝ මේකට publish කරන්නේ ලබන පෙබරවාරි නම් කොහොමද මේක කරන්නේ කියලා අපි එකට කියනවා Gantt chart කියලා. work plan එකක් හදාගන්න. ඒතකොට ලේසියි අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න වෙලාවේ balance කරගන්න පුළුවන්. You can balance your studies and research work and meet with the deadline. So that is very important. පොඩි structure එකක් ගහගන්න කොහොමද මේක ලියන්නේ කියලා. How many subtopics? What each subtopic is about? හරි ඒක හරි වැදගත්. පොඩි structure එකක් skeleton එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. අපිට word count එකක් දෙයි 2500 words to 5000 කියලා දෙනවා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. අපිට subtopics 5කට 6කට වඩා යන්න බෑ. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ subtopics යටතේ තොන්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් තව 1.1 1.11 likewise that you can break down. ඉතින් එතනදී මූලික වශයෙන් අර introduction එකක් අපි කියවල තියෙන literature තියෙන්න ඕන. අපි පාවිච්චි කරන theories තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා discuss කරන්න ඕන, ඒවා analyze කරන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට findings, recommendation, conclusion ඒ. ඉතින් මට තේරෙනවා මේ වගේ බොහෝම කෙටි වෙලාවක් ඇතුළත මේ වගේ ලොකු ශාස්ත්‍රයක් හරි අමාරුයි කතා කරලා ඉවර කරන්න. හැබැයි මං හිතන්නේ මේකේ අරමුණ ඔයගලන්ව බය කරන්න නෙවෙයි. ඔයගලන්ව මේ රිසර්ච් එකට බහින්නම ඕන. ගොඩේ ඉඳලා පීනන්න බෑනේ නේද? You have to get into that. So you can select the broad area, then you can go to the specific area, then you can identify what that you are going to write, what your objectives are. You can select your title of your research, then your subtopics, etc., and some of the key findings, and you have to come up with the conclusion. I find my colleague Professor Sarveshwaran is here. I think time for him to begin with. So he has a lot of practical stories to share, I believe. So good luck with your research. Thank you for giving this opportunity. And we are looking forward to see that your research to come out. Thank you.
Madam, your words were truly explanatory and inspiring. We received a very comprehensive knowledge. Much appreciated, madam.
Thank you very much. And I can forward the PowerPoint presentation if you want to read it further.
Yes, thank you very much, madam. And let me answer a question which was asked by the audience. Yes, any undergraduate enrolled in any university can submit your research articles to us. It doesn't matter what year you're studying, and it doesn't matter what your university is. It could either be an international university. We actually get submissions from all universities, and we will provide more information in the future about the guidelines that you will have to follow. Thank you very much. And now I hand over the proceedings to Nidakshan.
சிறப்பான உரையாற்றி சென்ற வசந்தா செனவிரட்ன பேராசிரியர் அவர்களுக்கு எங்கள் நன்றிகளை தெரிவித்துக் கொண்டு தொடர்ந்தும் இந்த சட்ட ஆராய்ச்சி மற்றும் ஆய்வு பணியானது அதனோடு அதன் பிரசுரமானது ஒரு இளங்கலை சட்ட கல்வி பயிலும் மாணவனுக்கு எவ்வாறு பயன்களை தருகின்றது என்பது தொடர்பாக உரையாடுவதற்கு எங்கள் பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் சட்டப்பீடத்தின் மூத்த சிரேஷ்ட விரிவுரையாளர் மதிப்புக்குரிய சர்வேஸ்வரன் அவர்களை அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம். சார், தற்போது இந்த நிகழ்நிலை தளம் உங்களுக்காக காத்திருக்கிறது.
Nandri. So I think I will speak in Tamil, also in English. So for the benefit of all students, I think the topic given to me is how beneficial legal research and publication would be for a law graduate. அதாவது சட்டத்துல ஆய்வு செய்வதும் அது சம்பந்தமாக பிரசுரிப்பதும் எந்த அளவு தூரம் மாணவர்களுக்கு பயனுள்ளதாக இருக்கும் என்று. So before I commence my presentation, I would like to say that when it comes to a cricket match, actually the front line players, right? They play very well. So if they play very well, then the batsmen who come after them will have not much to score. So the same when it comes to me also, the Dean and also Mr. Harankaha and also Professor Wasantha Seneviratne have explained very well. So what is expected when it comes to a research. So அதாவது இதற்கு முன்பு பேசியவர்கள் இந்த ஒரு ஆய்வின் போது என்னென்ன விடயங்களை எதிர்பார்ப்பதாக அவர்கள் தெளிவாக சொல்லி இருக்கிறபடியாக நான் பேசுவதற்கு அதிகம் இருக்காது என்று நினைக்கின்றேன். Therefore, I prefer to take your questions. Even when it comes to the Tamil medium students, I may say that you can ask questions covering the India session also. But before that, I would like to say a few words about a topic that has been given to me. Right? நான் எனக்கு தந்த விடயம் தொடர்பாக சுருக்கமாக சொல்வதாக இருந்தால், பொதுவாக நாங்கள் எதிர்பார்க்கின்றது ஒரு கல்வி முறையில 3 விடயங்கள். So when it comes to education, we expect 3 things. One is knowledge, other one is skills, other one is attitudinal change. If you are a student who engages in research work, definitely you will enhance your knowledge in the subject area, and also definitely you will develop your skills relating to the subject area, and also it will contribute to your attitudinal change. அதாவது நீங்கள் மேல ஒரு ரிசர்ச் செய்கிற பொழுது உங்களுக்கு 3 விதமான நன்மைகள் கிடைக்கும். ஒன்று, உங்களுடைய அறிவு அதிகரிக்கும், உங்களுடைய ஆற்றல்கள் விருத்தியாகும். மற்றது, மூன்றாவது, உங்களுடைய மனநிலையில மனப்பாங்கல மாற்றம் ஏற்படும். So when it comes to the knowledge, right? So law is ever changing, not static. அதாவது சட்டம் எப்பொழுதும் மாறிக்கொண்டிருக்கும். Therefore, you have to look for the new knowledge. But it is like your passport, so the validity period is limited. When it comes to knowledge in law, also the same, right? The validity period is limited. You can't use the same passport forever. You have to renew the passport, or you have to renew your driving license. The same when it comes to your knowledge also, right? In law, so you have to renew your knowledge. So when you engage in research, you renew your knowledge, right? The second one is when it comes to knowledge, you engage in research. I think already the other speakers have told you where you can find the knowledge, right? So in the international conventions, the statutes, the regulations, cases, articles, right? There are many. So நீங்கள் உங்களுடைய ஆய்வுக்காக பல விடயங்களை நீங்க பார்ப்பீங்க. So right, in சர்வதேச சமவாயங்கள், சட்டங்கள், ஆய்வு கட்டுரைகள், ஒழுங்கு விதிகள், தீர்க்கப்பட்ட வழக்குகள், இவ்வாறு பலவற்றை பார்க்கிற போது உங்களுடைய அறிவு விருத்தியாகும். When you look at all these things, definitely your knowledge get enhanced. The other one is you identify the gaps in the subject area. So when you do the research, you identify the gaps in the subject area. So and also that also contributes to enhance your knowledge. The other one is when it comes to knowledge, right? You engage in literature review. Literature review means you review the already existing materials and identify the gaps. Then you attempt to fill the gaps. That is what we say research, right? So when it comes to research, you engage in literature review to identify the existing knowledge and the existing work and all. So when it comes to literature review, right? After that, you by doing the literature review, you identify the gaps. Then you try to fill the gaps. Then you engage in the research and do it. But otherwise, it is no point of reproducing what everyone has written. அப்ப நீங்கள் இங்க இந்த லிட்ரேச்சர் ரிவ்யூ சொல்லிங்க, அதாவது நீங்கள் ஆய்வுகளை செய்கிற பொழுது நீங்கள் அந்த அப்பொழுது இருக்கிறது நாலேஜ் என்னன்றதை பார்க்கறதோட அதுல இருக்கிற வெற்றிடங்களை அறிகிறீர்கள். அதன் மூலம் நீங்கள் அதை நிரப்புவதற்கு உங்களை ஆய்வு செய்கிறீர்கள். அதன் மூலம் ஒரு புதுசாக by doing that you create something new, you add to the knowledge, you create a new knowledge in the particular area. அதாவது புதுசாக ஒன்றை நீங்கள் எழுதுறீங்க. அதுதான் மேலே எதிர்பார்க்கப்படும். எல்லோரும் எழுதினதை சொன்னதை சொல்றதுல பெரிய அவசரம் இல்லை. I will go to the next point, that is developing your skills. So when you do a research, you develop your skills, right? So by doing the research, right, right, you develop your skills. First you have to identify the relevant materials. அதாவது நீங்கள் பொருத்தமான விடயங்கள், அதாவது கட்டுரைகள் போன்ற பொருத்தமான அந்த ஆய்வுக்குரிய விடயங்களை அடையாளம் காண்போம். Then you develop the skills related to identifying the relevant materials, and also you identify the relevant person from whom you can get the information. அதாவது யாரிடமிருந்து தகவலை பெறலாம் என்பதை அறிகிறீர்கள். You identify the person with whom you can discuss the matters that you have, right? So அதன் மூலம் நீங்கள் பல்வேறு அதாவது அடையாளம் காண்பீர்கள், எவருடன் அதை பற்றி ஆராயலாம். அடுத்ததாக the next one is you read the materials available to you, right? So the reading also, right? So when it comes to reading materials also, after you identify the important materials, and also reading also, some days you have to go for deep reading, some days you have to go for quick reading. So you have to have different types of ways of reading. So and the skills கூட உங்களுக்கு டெவலப் ஆகும், right? So நீங்கள் சிலவளை விரைவாக வாசிக்கணும், சிலவளை ஆழமாக வாசிக்கணும், சிலவளை அப்ப அந்த அப்படியான ஸ்கில்ஸ் உங்களுக்கு டெவலப் ஆகும். Thereafter you identify the important aspects of the materials, right? So நீங்கள் முக்கியமான விடயங்களை அப்புறம் அடையாளம் காண்பீர்கள். Thereafter, when it comes to research, you extract the important aspects from the materials that you have, right? So you develop those skills, right? நீங்கள் வாசித்தவையில இருந்து முக்கியமானதுல இதுகளை நீங்கள் பிரித்தெடுக்க வேணும்ங்கறத நீங்கள் அங்க அந்த ஸ்கில்ஸை நீங்கள் டெவலப் பண்ணுவீங்க. Thereafter, you develop the skills, right, relating to after you extract the information, you have to relate to the issues that you are going to discuss in the research paper, right? So then you develop those skills also, right? That is relating the the principles or whatever you have extracted from the materials to the issues that you are going to discuss in your research paper. அதாவது நீங்கள் பிரித்தெடுத்தவங்களை எப்படி உங்களோட நீங்கள் ஆராய போகிற அந்த ஆய்வு கட்டுரையில் இருக்கிற விடயங்களுக்கு சம்பந்தப்படுத்துறீங்க. The other one is you are developing your analytical skills, right? So that is very important. When it comes to a research paper, there should be an analysis. அதாவது நீங்கள் ஆய்வு ரீதியாக நீங்கள் அனுபவம் அந்த அப்படியான ஸ்கில்ஸை நீங்கள் டெவலப் பண்றீங்க. The next one is the critical thinking. It is not just reproducing what is in the materials. That is not a research, right? So you have to critically reflect on the information available, right? நீங்கள் இருக்கிறத திருப்பி சும்மா போடுவது அல்ல ஆய்வு என்பது. அதை நீங்கள் நுணுக்கமாக அதை பற்றி சிந்தித்து, அது மாத்திரமல்ல, you have to go for critical reflection on the materials available. That is very important. So the critical reflection. So you develop those skills, right? அதாவது நீங்கள் நுணுக்கமான பிரதிபலிப்பு இருக்கணும் அந்த ஆவணங்கள் தொடர்புல. அப்ப now I have explained the second part of it. The first I explained about knowledge. The second part I explained about skills. Now I will go to the third part. நான் மூன்றாவது விடயத்துக்கு வருகிறேன். That is attitudinal changes. இவ்வாறு நீங்கள் ஒரு ஆய்வை செய்கிற பொழுது உங்களுடைய மனநிலையில மாற்றம் ஏற்படும். அது கட்டாயம் ஏற்பட வேணும், right? When you do a research, right, that should contribute for attitudinal change. Otherwise, it's no point of doing the research, right? So then if you don't have that change, then how you are going to change the law? How are you going to change the society? How are you going to change the other people, right? So the attitudinal change also will take place. That is also very, very important. So அது மிக முக்கியமானது. இந்த மூன்று விடயங்களும் பொதுவாக நீங்கள் ஒரு ரிசர்ச் செய்ய உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கிற முக்கியமான விடயங்கள். These are the most important benefits when you engage in research. There are many other advantages also. I will briefly tell you. One is, when it comes to the profession, that if you are going to be a lawyer, right, if you do research and all, that will reflect in your arguments. That will reflect in the submissions that you make, right? Therefore, if you engage, when you engage in the profession, so definitely that will reflect the research work that you all have done. Immediately the judge will identify whether you have done the research, whether you have done the homework, whether you have the critical thinking, or you are giving new ideas to the judge. Then based on that, the judge can write a judgment. Based on that, the law develops. So in that way you contribute. So your research reflects in so many ways. அதாவது நீங்கள் ஆய்வுகள் செய்து அந்த அணுகுமுறையில போயிருக்க நீங்கள் ஒரு நீதிபதிக்கு முன்னால வாதிடுகிறதுல மாற்றம் இருக்கும், அவருக்கு கொடுக்குற சப்மிஷன்ஸ்ல மாற்றங்கள் இருக்கும். அதை வெற்றி கொண்டு அந்த நீதிபதி நல்ல ஒரு ஜட்ஜ்மெண்ட் எழுதக்கூடியதா இருக்கும். அது சட்டத்தினுடைய விருத்திக்கு பங்களிப்பு செய்யும். The next one is when you do the research, there are many other benefits. One is when it comes to the postgraduate programs. When you go for the master's program at the faculty, we will say after you complete your LLB degree, you want to do masters. So when it comes to masters, everyone will come with the LLB degree, LLB honors, and various things. But there, the research work that you have already carried out will make the difference. You get points for that, and those who are in the interview board will identify you as the potential, candidate for the master's program. Or when you apply for the programs in the foreign universities also, you can show the research that you have done. So then you have the advantage of getting selected to follow the postgraduate programs in reputed universities. அதாவது நீங்க இந்த ரிசர்ச் அதுல செய்திருந்தா நீங்கள் ஒரு மதிப்புக்குரிய பீடங்கள்ல உங்களுடைய உயர்கல்வியை கற்பதற்கு தேர்ந்தெடுப்பதற்கான சந்தர்ப்பங்கள் அதிகமா இருக்கும். If you are going to enter into any other employment, so you want to be a legal officer, you want to enter, or you want to be a judge, or you want to be a judicial officer, or you want to join in the AGS department. So when it comes to the interviews and all, the research that you have carried out will make a difference. So when you go for the interviews, you can present, these are the articles that I have written. So, when the other people come only with the degree and the professional qualification, and so there you differ from the others. That makes a big difference when it comes to the interviews for your employment. So, நீங்கள் வாரான ஆய்வுகளை செய்திருந்தா நீங்கள் தொழில் வாய்ப்புகளுக்கு போகிற பொழுது உங்களை மற்றவர்களிலிருந்து அது வேறுபடுத்திக்காது. உங்களுக்கு அங்க ஒரு பெரிய அனுகூலமான ஒரு நிலைமை ஏற்படும். Sometimes when you are in a particular profession or employment or whatever, for your promotion also it matters a lot. அதாவது நீங்கள் ஒரு பதவியில ஏற்கனவே இருந்தா உங்களுடைய அந்த பதவி உயர்வுகளுக்கும் அது பங்களிப்பு செய்யும். The next point is when you do a research, you enter into the playground where the other players are already playing, right? So then actually sometimes you are taking a challenge also. That is good. That is what we expect from you, right? So நீங்கள் ஒரு research செய்து ஒரு ஆர்டிகல் எழுதிக்க, you enter into the particular, அதாவது நீங்கள் அந்த குறிப்பிட்ட அந்த விளையாட்டு மைதானத்துக்கு நீங்களும் போய் சேர்றீங்க, நீங்களும் மற்றவர்களோட சேர்ந்து நீங்கள் அங்க விளையாடுகிறீங்க. Otherwise you are in the pavilion, the others are playing, but you just sit in the pavilion and watch the match. But when you write the research articles, you also enter into the playground. That is what we expect from you all at the end. And also when it comes to the research, right, when it comes to this profession, legal profession and all, it is very, very important that you have to market yourself. But I don't say that you have to go and boast about yourself and all, but at the same time, you have to market yourself. That is very important when it comes to this field, right? So one way of marketing you, because you can't put an advertisement, you are a good lawyer, you have a lot of knowledge and all, those are unethical. You can't go for those things, right? So later you will study about ethics in the profession. So you can't go for those things. You can't say, you can't put a nice advertisement. In Sri Lanka, in some other country, they go for it. But in Sri Lanka, you can't do like that. You can't say, so you have this knowledge, that knowledge, you can do a good job and all, right? So that type of things you can't do. These are unethical, and later you will study about those things. But one way of marketing yourself is writing articles. So when you write the articles, it will reach many, many people in the profession, and also it will reach many stakeholders. Even the judges will see the article, and then they will have a high regard, when it comes to you, right? They will think, okay, this so and so has written an article, and the person has good knowledge, and all that makes a difference, right? So that is one way of marketing yourself. That is very, very important in the profession if you are in law, right? The next point is you have self-satisfaction. It is like giving birth to a baby, right? Then you have the ownership. You are the mother of the research paper, the article, right? So then you have the satisfaction actually at the end of it, right? At the end of it. right? And also, when you write more and more articles, you will have more and more opportunities, and you can you can mark your presence in the position and all, right? So these are the important things that I can say, that when you engage in research, these are the benefits that you all get. அதாவது இதுகள் தான் முக்கியமாக உங்களுடைய இந்த ரிசர்ச் இதெல்லாம் செய்கிற பொழுது உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கிற அந்த நன்மைகள். முக்கியமாக நீங்கள் இந்த ரிசர்ச்சை செய்கிற பொழுது நீங்கள் உங்களை பிரபல்யப்படுத்துவீங்க. அதாவது இந்த பிரபல்யப்படுத்துறதுன்றது மிக முக்கியமானது. இந்த இதை பொறுத்த மட்டும் சட்டத்துறையை பொறுத்த மட்டும் மிக முக்கியமானது, ரைட்? ஏன்னா நீங்கள் உங்களை பற்றி விளம்பரம் செய்யாது, உங்களை பிரபல்யப்படுத்துறதுக்கு ஒரு வழி இது. மற்ற அடுத்தது நீங்கள் இதை செய்கிற பொழுது உங்களுக்கு ஒரு மனதில் ஒரு சந்தோஷம் வரும். என்னன்னு சொன்னால் இறுதியில நீங்களால் அந்த குழந்தையினுடைய தாயார். ஏன்னா அந்த ரிசர்ச் பேப்பர் அல்லது அந்த ஆர்டிகிளை பொறுத்த மட்டும் இல்லை, அதோட ஓனர்ஷிப் உங்களுக்கு தான் வருது. அப்ப அது உங்களுக்கு மிக முக்கியமானது. Finally, I would say, when you all do research very well, finally we become very happy, because at the end, the credit comes to the teachers also. So we will be proud of you. We will be very proud of you, and also our faculty will be very proud of you. Everyone will say, okay, the faculty, the students, the undergraduates and the postgraduates and all are contributing a lot for the development of jurisprudence in Sri Lanka. So finally, we all are very happy. If you do the research, you are happy, we are happy, the faculty will be happy, all are happy. Thank you so much. If there's any doubt, any clarification, anything, you can ask me. You can ask me in any language.
Thank you very much, sir. There's a question in the chat box, and I would make this a chance to ask this. What is the major difference between the law journal article and research paper? It seems that both have similar characteristics and research level.
Yeah, so when it comes to law journal articles and research papers, but if I say research papers, definitely the research papers are based on intensive research, right? Actually, even if I will go a little further, when I supervise the postgraduate students, I always tell them, don't cite too much from the books, you cite from the research articles, because the research articles are more focused on a particular topic. But when it comes to the books, generally written, the same books the undergraduates are using, the same books the postgraduate students are using, all are using the same book, and the author of the book will not go to the depth analysis of a particular issue. But articles are more focused on a particular issue, and they will analyze everything. So when it comes to research paper, always it is based on a good research and standard research. But when it comes to the journal articles, but it depends on the quality of the journal. There are some journals, they just publish whatever they submit. So then I can't say that all the articles are well written articles or research articles, but they just publish. But when it comes to some journals, always they go for quality papers. There they look at research articles. So the fundamental difference, I would say, when it comes to the research papers, more intensified research will be there. But when it comes to journal articles, some days it may be, just basic knowledge written in the paper, not in-depth analysis and all. But when it comes to some journals, the articles are also research articles. So when it comes to that type of journal articles and research papers, I don't think there is a big difference between the two.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
இந்த சட்ட ஆராய்ச்சி மற்றும் ஆய்வு பணியானது அதன் பிரசுரமானது ஒரு இளங்கலை சட்டக்கல்வி பயிலும் மாணவனுக்கு எவ்வாறான பயன்களை தருகிறது என்பது தொடர்பாக உரையாடிய எங்கள் பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் சட்டப்பீடத்தின் மூத்த மதிப்புக்குரிய சிரேஷ்ட விரிவுரையாளர் சர்வேஸ்வரன் அவர்களுக்கு எங்கள் மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகளை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன்.
Nandri, I would like to thank you all, because actually, finally I would like to say, I'm very happy that you all have organized this. This is what we expect from you all, right? Thank you so much.
අද දින තුලාව සංස්කාරක මණ්ඩලය විසින් සංවිධානය කරන ලද වැඩමුළුවේ අවසන් අදියරට අප මෙසේ එළඹ තිබෙනවා. පරීක්ෂණ පරිසංවාදයක් සම්බන්ධ පූර්ණ සහ හරවත් දේශනයන් සමගින් ගෙවුණු හෝරාදීත්වය නීති ශිෂ්‍යයෙකු ලෙස ඔබගේ ජීවිතය ආලෝකමත් කර ගැනීමට මහෝපකාරී වූ බව තුලාව අපගේ විශ්වාසයයි. එසේනම් වැඩසටහනේ අවසානයේ සනිටුහන් කරමින් ස්තුති කතාව සිදු කිරීම සඳහා තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂක පර්යේෂණ පරිසංවාදයේ සම්මන්ත්‍රණ සම්බන්ධීකාරක ප්‍රනීතා බණ්ඩාරනායක වෙත ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරනවා.
ගෞරවනීය කතිකාචාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ මහත්ම මහත්මීනි, මාගේ සහෝදර සහෝදරියනි, අවසරයි. කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ නීති පීඨයේ තුලාව පදනම විසින් සංවිධානය කරනු ලබන තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂක පර්යේෂණ පරිසංසදය 2022 ව්‍යාපෘතිය කොටසක් වගේම ඊට අත්වලක් වශයෙන්ද පැවැත්වුණු මේ වැඩමුළුව දැන් නිමාවට පත්වමින් තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ අවසාන මොහොතේදී මේ වැඩමුළුව මේ ආකාරයට අතිශයින් සාර්ථකත්වයට පත් කරගන්න උපකාරී වුණු සියලු දෙනාටම තුලාව සංස්කාරක මණ්ඩලය වෙනුවෙන් කෘතඥතාවය පළ කිරීම තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂක පර්යේෂණ පරිසංසදයේ සම්මන්ත්‍රණ සම්බන්ධීකාරකය වශයෙන් මාගේ යුතුකමකට මා සලකනවා. ප්‍රථමයෙන්ම ස්වකීය කාර්යබහුල ජීවිතයෙන් ඉතා වටිනා පැය කිහිපයක් නීතිපීඨ උපාධි අපේක්ෂකයන් ඇතුළු සමස්ත ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය නීති ශිෂ්‍ය ප්‍රජාවේ අභිවෘද්ධිය උදෙසා නොපැකිලව වෙන් කරමින් අද මේ වැඩමුළුව සඳහා සහභාගී වෙමින් තමන්ගේ වටිනා උපදෙස් මාර්ගෝපදේශයන් සහ අත්දැකීම් වලින් අපව පෝෂණය කළ අපගේ නීතිපීඨයේ පීඨාධිපතිතුමා වන ආචාර්ය සම්පත් පුංචිහේවා මැතිතුමාට, වාණිජ්‍ය නීති අධ්‍යනාංශයේ ප්‍රධානී ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ කතිකාචාර්ය මේනක හරන්කහ මැතිතුමාට, පොදු සහ අන්තර්ජාතික නීති අධ්‍යනාංශයේ ප්‍රධානී මහාචාර්ය වසන්තා සෙනවිරත්න මැතිතුමියට වගේම පුද්ගල සහ තුලනාත්මක නීති අධ්‍යනාංශයේ මහාචාර්ය අරුණාචලම් සර්වේස්වරන් මැතිතුමාට තුලාව පදනම වෙනුවෙන් මම මගේ භක්ත්‍යාදර පූර්වක ස්තුතිය මුලින්ම පිරිනමනු ලබනවා. එසේම අද මේ වැඩමුළුව සාර්ථකව පවත්වා ගැනීම සඳහා ස්වකීය අවසරය, ගුරුහරුකම් සහ අසීමිත දායකත්වය ලබා දුන් තුලාව සංස්කාරක මණ්ඩලයේ භාර කතිකාචාර්යතුමිය වන දනුෂිකා අබේරත්න මැතිණිය ඇතුළු සැසු අධ්‍යයන කාර්ය මණ්ඩලය විසින් අප දිරිමත් කරමින් අපට ලබා දුන් සහයෝගයට විශේෂයෙන්ම ස්තුතිවන්ත වීමටත් මම මේ මොහොත අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්නවා. තුලාව සංස්කාරක මණ්ඩලය 2021 සහ 22 වර්ෂය ඇතුළු ප්‍රමුඛ අපේ ප්‍රිය සමාජිකාවනි. තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂක පර්යේෂණ පරිසංසදය පිළිබඳ ව්‍යාපෘති යෝජනාව සම්බන්ධ සාකච්ඡාවේ පටන් අද දක්වාම එම ව්‍යාපෘතිය සෑම ඉඩකඩක්ම ජයග්‍රහණය කිරීම සඳහා ඔබ ලබා දුන් නොපැකිල සහයෝගයට සහ දායකත්වයට මා ඔබට මාගේ හදපිරි ස්තුතිය ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා. නීති පීඨයේ මාගේ ආදරණීය සොයුරියනි, ආදරණීය ප්‍රේක්ෂකයනි, අද දින මේ වැඩමුළුවේ සාර්ථකත්වය සඳහා ඔබ ලබා දුන්නේ අමිල දායකත්වයක්. වර්ෂ අවසාන විභාග කටයුතු අතළඟ තබාගෙන ඔබගේ දෛනික ජීවන රටාවේ වෙනසක් ඇති කරගැනීමෙන් පුරා දෙහෝරාවක් අප සමග සම්බන්ධ වෙමින් ඔබ සිදු කළ ඒ කැපවීමට මම හිස නමා ආචාර කරමින් ගෞරවපූර්වක ස්තුතිය පිරිනමනවා. A lovely and warm evening to our most valued and respected panelists and beloved friends. It's a matter of pride for me that I am proposing a word of thanks for this workshop. I, on behalf of the Thulawa editorial team, first of all, spread my most sincere gratitude to the esteemed panel of academia, Dr. Sampath Punchihewa, the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Mr. Menaka Harankaha, the Head of the Department of Commercial Law, Professor Wasantha Seneviratne, the Head of the Department of Public and International Law, and Professor Arunathalam Sarveswaran, Senior Lecturer of the Department of Private and Comparative Law, and of course, Lecturer in charge of the Thulawa editorial team, Mrs. Danushika Aberatna, and all the members of the academic staff of the Faculty of Law. Dear sirs and madams, as the coordinator of the Thulawa conference, I hereby thank you all for your tremendous support and guidance in making the dream of this workshop a reality. Last but not least, I'd like to place my hearty thanks to all my beloved editorial board and the members of the Thulawa Foundation, all my colleagues from the Faculty of Law, and of course, the participants, because of whom we made this session possible. Your enthusiasm and eager participation made this workshop a success. Colombo Palkale Kaluhatil Satta Peetatin Thulawa Amaipu Sarbham Ittarunatil Nandrihale Terivittu Kolvadil Pyramidam Adehire. Andavahil Viruvurayalar Grana Dr. Sampath Punchihewa, Professor Wasantha Seneviratne, Mr. Menaka Harankaha, Professor Arunathalam Sarveswaran மற்றும் பொறுப்பாசிரியர் Mrs. Danushika Aberatna மற்றும் அனைத்து நண்பர்களுக்கும் இந்த நிகழ்வில் பங்கு கொண்ட அனைவருக்குமே மனர்மார்ந்த நன்றிகள். එසේනම් 2022 වසරේ පැවැත්වීමට නියමිත තුලාව උපාධි අපේක්ෂක පර්යේෂණ පරිසංසදයේදී ඔබ සියලු දෙනාම නැවත හමුවීමේ බලාපොරොත්තුවත් පෙරදැරිව මේ වැඩමුළුව මෙසේ සමාප්ත කරමින් තුලාව අපි මේ මොහොතට ඔබෙන් සමුගන්නවා. ස්තුතියි.
நன்றிகளை தெரிவித்த கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் கோஆர்டினேட்டர் பிரணிதா பண்டார் நாயக் அவர்களுக்கு எமது மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகளை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். துலாவ பதிப்பாசிரியர் குழுவினர் ஆகிய எங்களால் மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட இந்த இளங்கலை கலந்துரையாடலானது உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் பயனுள்ளதாக இருக்கும் என நம்புகிறோம். தொடர்ந்தும் நிகழ்நிலையில் எம்மோடு பயணித்த உறவுகளுக்கு மீண்டும் ஒரு கணம் நன்றிகள். பொழுதுகள் சிறப்பாக புலர அந்த இறைவனை பிரார்த்தித்து உங்களிடமிருந்து விடைபெற்றுக் கொள்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
We sincerely hope that you were immensely benefited through the session. Now we would bid our farewell up until we meet once again at the due proceedings of the Thulawa Undergraduate Research Conference. Stay tuned with us. Have a pleasant night.